Come and talk about it and let some stuff up.
What kind of a show are you guys putting on here today?
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Good morning, freedom fighters. The last day of 2025, New Year's Eve. Thank you so much for having us along with you. I am Vic Porcelli's executive producer, Ken Williams, and Vic's still out. He's taken advantage of the time off. He's in this 3-hour tour of such. He's going to be off for until probably next Monday. I think we're talking about him coming back. So it'll be nice to have Vic back. But I get the opportunity right now to take 3 hours and do basically whatever I want. So hang tight. We've got a lot of stuff going on here today. Coming up later on, in fact, we've got a guy who has a show on Saturday here on NewstalkSTL. It's Dr. Bryan Deloney. He's a doctor in all sorts, but he's going to be talking about some different things today. I don't think that are doctor related. He's a conservative. He wants to just come on and, just give his peace of mind about certain things. That's what I wanted to do with this show, is to bring on people that we've had throughout the year that you enjoyed. By the way, thanks for having us along with you, Vic Heads, and just have the people on that really made a positive impact on this show. Of course, we've got Speaker Tim Jones. He's coming up a little bit later on. Drew Thomas Allen. He's got a new book, For Christ and Country, The Martyrdom of Charlie Kirk. We've got to talk about that. But if you've ever listened to this show, you know Drew brings all kinds of exciting information and some really interesting insights. I want to start off with things regarding energy, but the only way we can do that is talk to a person who's been on the show, a very good friend to NewstalkSTL, and of course the Vic Porcelli Show. It's Power the Future spokesperson, Larry Behrens. Larry, how are you?
Oh, I'm warm this morning. How are you doing?
You're warm because of good energy, right?
That's right. That's what keeps us alive and warm. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And so, Larry, the reason why I wanted to bring you on first is because of the energy situation we have in this country now versus what it was 4 years ago. But first, we got to start off with you doing the Pledge of Allegiance. Can you do that for us?
Absolutely. I'm digging back deep here. I was in high school for a good 20 years, but it was about 20 years ago. So let me see if I can get it right.
Just take your time.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amazing. I got to go. My Uncle Chuck's up here on the wall, and we've got the Freedom 13 flag behind us. We always touch that. And Larry, I want to do a plug here for the Freedom 13. Go to the freedom13.org if you can. Today being the last day of 2025, you could still actually, instead of giving your money to the government, you can give it to charity. The freedom13.org. Go there and you'll see some amazing things that Mark Schmitz and everybody's doing for the Freedom 13. So take advantage of that. Larry, let's get into energy. This is the most important thing that we have to face in this country. We have to make some incredible decisions because energy is the foundation of everything America. Having abundant energy guarantees a strong and healthy America. And the Biden administration didn't seem to think so much about that. All they were worried about was the climate grift and green energy. So what are your thoughts just coming out of the gate?
Yeah, absolutely. You just said it better than I could. I mean, when we look at energy, we think, oh, well, it's nice to have, and it stinks when it goes out, but it's not just that. It is essentially an arms race for who is going to perhaps control the biggest technologies and have the best defense over the next 50 plus years. We need the energy to figure out AI. We need energy to build our industry. We need energy to build our defenses, because there are things that are coming our way that we need to be prepared for. And we could, do what Joe Biden wants us to do and not worry about it. But lo and behold, our adversaries are absolutely worrying about it. And so as we sit here today, the United States is using more energy than it ever has before. That's expected. The sad part is we've spent the last 15, 20 years taking reliable and affordable energy off the grid. I'm talking about fossil fuel power plants that have been there for generations. They decided to close them down in exchange for solar and wind, which I'm sure on a cloudy day like this work exceptionally well. And at a time when we need more energy than we ever have before, and it's now a national defense imperative, then it is time to, the best time to have gotten this together was about 10 years ago, but the second best time is today. And thankfully, President Trump is doing that, but it's going to be a fight. We got to get it done.
Yeah, Larry, you're reading my mind. I mean, seriously, because I was going to bring up about Joe Biden and the Biden administration, and it's not, let's say what it really is. It was the Obama administration on forward, where they were trying to push in this green energy thing that has just costed the American people trillions of dollars for what, Larry? For nothing.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I call it sabotage because it was an absolutely intentional sabotage of one of our foundational industries. I mean, people think that's hyperbolic of me, but I'll just absolutely say it, because when you look at who benefits most from the United States taking reliable power off the grid, replacing it with expensive and intermediate power in terms of wind and solar, which, by the way, you have to buy those components all from China. Who benefits from that? China didn't go down the wind and solar route. No, they went down the route of more and more coal plants because they know what the future holds. And so sadly, they have a slight head start on getting their power grid together. Thankfully, President Trump has come in, delaying some closures, looking for new places. We have the natural resources to power our country if we put all hands on deck. And the tough part is going to be, it takes time to build power plants. It takes time to build pipelines. It takes time to build transmission lines. And so that stuff doesn't happen overnight. But as Joe Biden taught us, and you correctly pointed out, it could be undermined in less than 4 years. There's a lot of repair work to do.
Well, to your point, 10 years ago, if we would have started it back then, we were always so worried about, well, let's bring China into the fold. Let's help them become a part of that capitalistic brotherhood that is around this world. And in doing so, we gave them the opportunity to manufacture, to start building energy components and things that we need. And now we're dependent on them. But it is changing course, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely is. Let's be clear. That capitalistic brotherhood is now holding, military drills all around Taiwan, which is another country we need because we have stopped making things here in the United States thanks to, policies that put America last. And so, yeah, we absolutely need it. I mean, I equate it to, imagine you're about to be in the most important drag race of your life. It's not just whether you're going to keep the car, it's whether you're going to keep the house, whether you're going to keep your land, whether you're going to keep, and Joe Biden came in and let the airs out of your tires right as the lights started counting down. That's where we are right now. And so we have to do a lot of catch up, a lot of quick before this race even really takes off, because we can't afford to lose it. And so that's, when I look at what is going on in the world, I'm grateful that we've had this year under President Trump. He's making all the right decisions at all the right times. But I think the urgency, which he has, the urgency needs to be bigger on the part of the American people, local officials, city officials, and so forth.
And we're talking to Larry Behrens, communications director at Power the Future. And Larry, it's powerthefuture.com, isn't it?
It is, absolutely.
Okay. Now I want to get away from Biden and all that stuff. I will. I promise we're going to move forward on this power and energy. But I do need to bring up the fact that we look at our daily energy bills today. I just looked at my gas bill and my electric bill, and it's like, my God, how did I even use this much energy? The fact is, because of what we've been doing to try and get a green infrastructure over the last 4 years, that has actually hurt us and made prices go up, hasn't it?
Oh my gosh, you just tapped into my anger vein. You thought you were there before, but you're absolutely right. I get my same bill, and I'll name them. I get it from Amerin. I used 3% less energy than I did at the same time last year. I live here. I got kids here. I work here. I have 3% less energy, so I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. My bill was higher. Let's be clear. In 2025, I went to a meeting where Amerin was asking for a rate increase, which they got, by the way.
Yeah.
They're, I think, second one in 3 years.
Yep.
And where they told me right to my face, solar and wind is the cheapest form of electricity. Keep in mind, we're at a meeting about them raising rates, and they say it's cheaper. Where I come from, cheaper doesn't mean we are raising rates. And so they have gone down, and here's what's really hurt. So not just American, but utilities across the country went and bid on the Biden, hey, we'll give you free money to build this stuff. And so they sent out taxpayer money so that they can get a lot of their construction funded and dismiss a lot of their reliable plants. And then they raise rates on taxpayers or on ratepayers to keep the process going, because now they're so far down the green road, they don't want to get accused of scrapping it and moving back, and they know it's going to take years to get plants online, and so they're trying to get more solar, more wind as quick as they can. It's just not going to work, but yet we're all still paying the bill. As a taxpayer, you pay it twice. When you pay your taxes and when you pay your rate, you pay for the green agenda twice.
See, that's it. I mean, 3 years ago, I was watching television reports of Ameren building all this infrastructure for solar, for example. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm thinking back then, how can this work? These facilities are going to go out. And I believe me, I love the idea. I love the idea of unconventional energy. I think it's awesome. And I want to get into this next, but this whole thing with solar, they're not even paying for their own worth. The individual, there's like the solar infrastructure and the wind.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's be clear, studies have shown that you will never get enough energy out of a solar panel as it took to mine the minerals, construct, put together, transport, install, and maintain that same panel. It will never give you a net positive energy. It will always be a net loser. But I did it one step better. And Ameren's very proud of the 500, they'll tell you, we installed 500 megawatts of solar. Here's something I want everyone, if you hear nothing else from me today, hear this. When they talk about their solar and wind, they talk about capacity. They talk about what it could do. So when they say we've installed 500 megawatts, I went to the State Regulation Commission. I asked, hey, have you guys actually looked at how much energy it actually produced? And they told me, we don't know. And we can look, but that stuff's probably proprietary, and we're going to charge you a look for it. So even the state is saying, we don't know. Ameren has not disclosed anywhere if we actually got that 500 megawatts that we already paid to install, by the way. And so I could tell you at that same meeting, I saw some solar facilities reaching about maybe 12% of capacity. And I don't know about you, but the only place I can see where it's beneficial to only do 12% of work is, a Somali daycare or something like
right,
that. Yeah,
right. Well, hey, and by the way,
speaking,
you just teased something that I'm covering next in depth with audio and everything, so you don't want to go anywhere for this next segment. But Larry, let's move forward. Okay, President Trump, he's talking about fusion. He's talking about nuclear energy. He's talking about so many different sources. He doesn't like wind. I think he hates wind, to be honest with you. But I think he's drill, baby, drill. He's doing all the things right, don't you think?
He is. And imagine if you had a guy who spent his entire professional life building buildings and building infrastructure, so he knows what works, he knows what doesn't, he knows when someone's trying to take him to the cleaners and when someone doesn't. So he sees something like wind and says, yeah, that doesn't work. He's like, so other people can use that gimmick, we're not going to use it. So I don't think that he hates wind. I think if it worked, he would love it. And that's why he embraces other forms of electricity. He wants the things that work, that will get the job done. It's really that simple. And America should want that too. But we've been, sold this green bill of goods, and it is nothing, I call it the grift industrial complex.
Wow.
It is beyond daycares. It is, we see a whole lot of money going out to these green groups that never produce any type of results. And so it is something that taxpayers have footed the bill for. And of course, we see it in our bills as well.
Grift industrial complex. I got to remember that. So we have, I mean, that really kind of explains all of it right now. But President Trump, he's really focusing on something that I'm very interested in, and we've got to bring it back, is nuclear energy, Larry.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Here in Missouri, I mean, we are getting, I think, roughly about 10% of our power from nuclear, and it is something that is viable for the future as well. When I say we need all hands on deck, I literally mean all hands on deck. We have to build up every capacity, and that's what, that is something that you have to look at the green agenda and say, why do they freak out about nuclear?
Yeah.
It seems to check all the boxes that they say are important, but yet they still fight against it. I've lived in states where they're like, oh, yeah, we want a portfolio that's all renewable, just no nuclear. It's like, well, it doesn't have any emissions. Everything you say it shouldn't have, it doesn't have. And they just say no. And so then you start to wonder, well, maybe it's all about just buying Chinese solar panels and windmills.
Hello.
But yes, absolutely. Nuclear must be a part of that mix. It is a great baseload power. It can be ramped up. It can be brought down. It works when it's cold. It works when it's cloudy. It is absolutely there. We need all of that on board because we are going to need, I mean, if you look at just AI, there is speculation that AI by itself will use up half of the energy produced for the state of Virginia by 2026, which, by the way, is tomorrow. And so, and they're not alone. And so when we look at, we are facing a massive energy bill come due, and we need more and more power for it. So yeah, all hands on deck, nuclear included.
Yeah, and we haven't even been able to touch on AI and how much energy that's going to take. But Larry, we've got to do it for another time when Vic Porcelli's here, and we'll make sure we'll get you on. You are a friend of the show, and I want you to give us some final words for leaving 2025 and heading into 2026 for the energy people.
Absolutely. Appreciate what's going on at the gas pump. It will definitely continue. It's amazing that he was able to do that in just 12 months. But watch your energy bill. Hold your local officials accountable. Where you get your energy from matters. And if they are not putting affordable, reliable energy on your grid, you should be paying for it.
Awesome, Larry. And again, you can find Larry at powerthefuture.com. It's Larry Behrens, Communications Director at Power the Future. Larry, the best to you and your family and everybody for this New Year's 2026. I think we're going to have an amazing time. I'm feeling very positive about 2026, and you?
As much positivity to you as well. And yeah, we'll definitely get there. Great job, guest host today.
Well, thank you, Larry. We really appreciate it. We'll see you soon, okay?
Have a good one. Larry
Behrens, Communications Director for Power the Future. That's just the start of what we're going to be, you're going to be getting today from the Vic Porcelli Show. Vic is out. He's on shore leave for the 3-hour tour. So he'll be back on Monday, but I'm going to keep you busy, okay? So coming up, we've got Drew Thomas Allen, Dr. Bryan Deloney, and Dr. Bryan Deloney is a great conservative. He wants to talk about things other than medical, probably. And that's at least the hint. And you know what? We get Tim Jones coming back here as well. But next, I want you to understand that this guy has been getting over 200 million views on his video. It's Nick Shirley. And I know you've heard of his name by now, but have you really heard him talk? We're going to play some clips for you, some very important clips coming up right here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. We're number one for live and local conservative talk.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. The Vic Porcelli Show. Vic and Ken.
They don't know what the they're doing.
The Vic Porcelli Show on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new app.
And listen anytime, anywhere.
There's only one place you can get pizza cooked over coals. Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in Chesterfield Valley. Of course, Napoli Brothers has a great selection of pasta dishes. Between the pizza and pasta, trust me, you will not leave hungry. Then, a few doors down, Lit Cigar Lounge, a wide variety of quality cigars, each offering a unique smoke. That cigar, some premium whiskey, all you need to do is enjoy. Lit Cigar Lounge and Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta, Chesterfield Valley.
Jeffco Patriot Radio.
Hey guys, Jefferson County Councilman Billy Crow here from Jeffco Patriot Radio. On behalf of Tim Jones and I just want to thank you for making Jeffco Patriot Radio the number one listened to show on Sundays here on News Talk STL, where we dive into all the things happening in and around Jefferson County. Check Tim Jones and I out on Jeffco Patriot Radio this and every Sunday at high noon here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Jeffco Patriot Radio.
People ask all the time, who the heck is Low Cost Airlines? Well, we're not just one airline. When you're talking to us, you're talking to everyone. We are the discount supermarket for all airline tickets. Plus, we have all the airlines and always have the best prices. American, Delta, United, plus all the specialized international airlines and a lot more. And we make it easy. We guarantee you'll talk to a live human in 60 seconds. You can have the rate you need and have your trip booked in 5 minutes. Now, how cool is that? And remember, when you're talking to us, it's like talking to every single airline available with one fast phone call. All you need to do is call and find the best prices to fly wherever it is you want to go. So are you ready? Call Low Cost Airlines right now. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. The Vic Porcelli Show.
Court will take a 60-minute recess for lunch.
Your Honor, I respectfully request a full day's continuance to go over all this stuff.
Don't you cuss on this here radio.
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
Potentially the largest fraud scandal in U.S. history is taking place in Minnesota as literally billions of dollars have been funneled through Somali-ran fraudulent businesses. So much fraud, it could actually almost replace the entire GDP of Somalia. These fraudsters have worked hand in hand with the Minnesota government as they enabled billions of dollars to be given to fraudulent businesses underneath welfare purposes. Some of this money eventually landed in the hands of terrorist groups in Somalia like the Al-Shabaab, and others enriched themselves all at the U.S. taxpayers' expense. But I met up with a man who's been doing his own investigation for years now as he has seen the fraud firsthand. His name is David.
And his name is Nick Shirley, 22-year-old Nick Shirley. Okay. He's a journalist. He's what you would call an independent journalist, as we are an independent radio station here at News Talk STL. And Nick, I was obviously frustrated about what he was seeing, so he wanted to do some investigative journalism. He created a video. It's an investigative video. It documents alleged welfare fraud. This is alleged welfare fraud in the Somali community in Minnesota, by the way. Okay, so what you're going to hear here, you've been hearing his name a lot, but you really need to hear what he has to say about every step that they were taking. And we'll give you a couple of examples of the locations that he went to. And I want to get right to it. So let's continue with Nick Shirley, but he's talking to his counterpart, who is David. David actually takes care of all the numbers, and he makes sure that the locations are correct and all that. So check this out.
How deep is this fraud here inside of Minnesota?
It is far worse than anybody can imagine. You heard it's 7 to 10 billion and maybe more, and now the numbers have been revised and put out there publicly that they think it's more like 8 billion. How I got involved is that where my office is here in Minneapolis, I'm sort of in the heart of all of this fraud, and I would see these childcare centers. I said, well, there aren't any kids there. It's the middle of the day, and all I see are a couple of guys standing out front smoking. And then I'd go by another daycare and I'd see the same thing. I said, well, where do these kids play? And so I started to go online and look, and I said, this place is licensed for 80 children. They had 0 children. Every time I went by there, they never had a single child there.
So this builds on a growing scandal. That's David you were listening to with Nick Shirley. This is where Minnesota's immigrant aid programs, including CCAP, you're talking about Medicaid, they've reportedly lost billions in systematic fraud since 2018, and the numbers keep going up. Okay, that's the biggest problem here. They keep seeing more and more fraud, welfare fraud within Minneapolis in general. And I think this is, like everybody's been saying, the tip of the iceberg. We're going to get to the fact that in Ohio and Washington and other places, they're experiencing the same thing. So this could just be opening up a whole world of fraud that we've never even seen before. Let's continue. David, he talks about there's a transportation. Now, this encompasses everything going on right now with fraud in Minnesota. So this is the transportation part of it.
Then I started to see all these transportation companies going around, and it was always a Somali driver. And I said, well, that's great. They're out there transportation contributing, but they never had a passenger, never, ever once. And I said, well, what is all this transportation? What are they doing? So then I found out that in Minnesota, they have something called non-emergency medical transportation. So this is going to the dentist's office, therapy, whatever it might be. And I said, well, how many of these companies are there? And the research came back that there are 1,020 of them, and more than 800 of them are Somali-owned. Nobody from the state of Minnesota ever cross-checks to see if any rides were ever actually provided. All they did was write the check.
Now, keep in mind, David, he lives there. He goes to work every day. He's been there for years, and he sees all these vehicles all the time. We're talking about over 1,000 just the transportation facilities alone. These are vehicles they drive around with big names on the sides of their vans, but they have drivers, but he never sees kids. He never sees adults. with any of this daycare of any kind. And, his credibility is here. I mean, here he's being asked about it.
And how are you getting all this information about the fraud?
A lot of it is through my own research. And then I have some contacts at the Capitol going back many, many years. And so the data that I'm getting is 100% accurate, coming directly from research done by people at the state Capitol.
Okay, so he's in it. He knows people that are in it. And if you remember, not just recently, they reported that the state of Minnesota, the employees are becoming whistleblowers in mass in Minnesota. And it has a lot to do with what corruption is within the company, within the government. So this is not, it's not just some crazy 22-year-old kid grabbing some guy that lives there and saying, hey, let's go around and see if these buildings are open or closed on a Sunday, by the way, which the mainstream media keeps trying to tell you that, oh, this is the weekend. This is when these places, they're not even open. I mean, I heard them saying this, and we've got some stuff we can talk about later about that. But this is not the case. Nick, Shirley, and David have gone around during regular business hours. Now let's continue.
The areas of fraud that I have numbers for are mostly related to childcare. This is massive fraud that is beyond anyone's imagination, the scope. And so, for example, there's a childcare not far from here in Minneapolis that has two childcares listed at the same address. And together, they're licensed supposedly for 120 children. I have never seen a single child there ever. And I've been by that place at least 100 times.
So in St. Louis, you've gone past childcare. We have childcare everywhere. You see it everywhere. You see the jungle gyms. You see the slides, the swings, kids running around, parents going in and out and dropping their kids off. You see that all the time when there is a childcare that is full of kids. He's talking about 100 and the man who lives there goes to work every day there and never sees one child.
These Somalians, these groups are setting up these daycares, these childcare centers, getting money from the government, but there's no kids.
No kids. Never had any of them. They're all fraught with violations. And even though they have these violations, they're still in operation and they're still getting money. And it's millions of dollars for every one of them every year.
Millions. These are taxpayer dollars we're talking about. And here, besides that, and that's important, kids in violations. Are you kidding me? You've got a child care facility where apparently 120 kids are supposed to be at. There are none because he doesn't see them. And this is a man who said repeatedly, I've gone by here many, many times. You need to check out the 42-minute full-length video. Over 200 million other people have seen it. It's Nick Shirley. You look up his name and I'm sure you'll find it. But I want to continue because you're not going to hear some of this anywhere else, but right here on NewstalkSTL.
And who's getting the money and where are they getting the money from?
So we have a thing called CCAP. It's a blend of federal and state money. The bottom line is it's taxpayer money. So it's state money and it's federal money. And the problem is the people at the state of Minnesota are the ones writing the checks. This is kind of the maddening thing is you have daycare. So you have adult daycare and then you have child care and then you have health care. And a lot of these same names keep coming up on all of these different types of businesses. And then, of course, we have the transportation. And a lot of those same names appear, a lot of the same addresses.
A lot of the same names appear. And you've got adult care. You've got child care. You've got all this different care. You know what? Minnesota cares. They care.
There's one building that has 14 Somali healthcare companies at the same address. There's another building in St. Paul that has 22 Somali healthcare businesses at the same address.
And the government knows about this.
The government knows they're writing the checks. Yeah, the Democrats over there just writing the checks. What has happened is that the Somali community is a very closed community. They will not speak to anyone outside the community and talk about what's going on within the community. They vote as a block. And so when you're a politician, you're saying, look, I've got 100,000 people in Minnesota that if I do something for the community, they're going to vote for me. And that's what it's all about, is getting the votes. And then the people here in Minnesota, you hear this term, Minnesota nice. I'm so sick of that term. The people here are so afraid of being called a racist or an Islamophobe. And They're afraid of their own shadow. And I don't understand. This is our future generations are going to have to pay for all this fraud. And they just want to bury their heads in the sand and go on and just not worry about it.
So as these guys are going around and checking these facilities, they're being rejected at every turn. No one's talking to them. There are no kids there. They've gone to multiple locations and no one is there. And this is during a regularly scheduled time. They even announced it to you. They told you. And at one point, this guy confronts Nick Shirley.
Potentially the largest fraud scandal in
I got the wrong cut here. Right here. Check it out.
How you doing, man?
I just want to ask,
Yes, sir.
why are you sensationalizing the propaganda?
What are we
to-
sensationalizing?
To attack our community. What's your final objective?
We're not attacking your community by any means.
Are you making
We're
good money
looking-
from this?
We're looking for fraud.
No, I'm
For
not.
instance, can you answer our question? Where's Safari Transportation Company 607?
1 second.
It's not there.
I'll tell you the
Fraud is
reason why
fraud,
this is
sir.
happening. All right, let me
David,
tell you the reason why you're
Fraud is
attacking
fraud,
this.
correct?
Yes.
This has nothing to do with race. This is fraud.
This is absolutely has to do with us being Muslim.
No, it does not.
All right, and us being from Africa.
See, this is their first go-to. Racism. You are an Islamophobe. You are not good because no matter what we're doing, it doesn't matter what we're doing behind the scenes here, but you're a racist. So deflect away from that.
This is a constitutional argument.
It's not a constitutional argument.
You don't want us here. Change the freedom of religion. You are you're preparing for the Somali community to maybe be taken to concentration camps.
Okay, he's saying that they're trying to set them up to be sent to concentration camps. Everybody listen, this is all deflection. No matter what you hear on the mainstream media, they're going to try and deflect because this is a very, very big story. Nick Shirley, you should be commended. You should get a Pulitzer Prize. David, you right along with him. And we'll keep you updated on this. There's so much more. I ran out of time, of course, and I tried to cut it down as much as I could, but that's me. Producer Ken in for the great Vic Porcelli. It's the Vic Porcelli Show. And coming up next, we're going to talk about something called disparate impact. I know it sounds like a word I've never heard before. We're going to find out what it means from Donna Jackson at cfac.org coming up right here on News Talk STL 1019-94.1, number one for live and local conservative talk.
We were eating eggs and sandwiches when the black man there drew his knife.
Stream the Vic Porcelli Show at News Talk STL. You're listening to the Vic Porcelli Show.
Being the guy who's pushed them out.
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL. Colombo and Company.
Join us every day for conversations with a wide variety of guests as we keep you informed and up to speed on all the important news and headlines you need to know.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Concerned about the condition of your windows driving up your energy bills? I was too. It's only called STL Windows and Doors. Call today for your free in-home estimate and start saving tomorrow. 314-277-5952 or stlwindowsanddoors.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Jim Talent, former U.S. Senator. Did Pete Hegseth commit a war crime, in your opinion?
No. My only concern is that we're not getting enough drug votes. It's the first effective thing I can remember we've done to strike at these cartels, not only to take out particular shipments of drugs, but to deter others. And I'm not going to cry crocodile tears for any of them.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Hey, Colombo here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. That's 800-240-4586.
Free speech is alive and well in America right here.
It's about time somebody stood up for true American values.
What this country needs is some backbone.
Finally, a president who wants to make real change.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. This hour, the Vic Porcelli Show, brought to you by Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor for all your roofing needs. Visit ConnorRoofing.com. That's CONNER Roofing.com. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019.
Woosh.
The Vic Porcelli Show. Correct! Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
Talking heads. I had to grab the music, and without Vic here, it was fun. He's just such a wealth of knowledge with music. He likes to help me. And I guess I gotta say I do miss that part of it. Hey, coming up, we're going to talk with Tim Jones. Dr. Bryan Deloney is going to be in here, and he's a conservative. He's a doctor who has a show here on News Talk STL on Saturdays at 12 noon. But I don't think he's going to be talking all medical here. He's a great conservative, and I said, hey, can you come on? I'd like to see you come on the Vic Porcelli Show. He said, I'd love to. So he probably has a lot to say. Let's get to our next guest from cfact.org. We have Donna Jackson. Donna, welcome to the show, first of all.
Thank you for having me. And how you doing?
Hey, you know what? When Vic's here, I'm always ready for that. But because I'm doing everything by myself, it's a little bit more difficult. But I got one for you.
Hey, how you doing?
How you doing, Donna Jackson?
It's always a good time being on the show.
Oh, it is. And you know what? We love having you here. We're going to talk about the new year coming up and what things we can expect, what you want. But right now, let's talk about something called disparate impact. I read this and I'm like, oh, great. Here we go. Another word that we have no idea what it is. But after reading it, it has a lot to do with what's happening right now. Can you explain it?
Yeah. So, really what we're talking about is all of the over regulations on appliance standards that make the cost of living expensive and housing unaffordable for most Americans. Housing is at the forefront of everything right now. That's all everybody's talking about is home ownership. We don't talk enough about the fact that it's not just an supply and demand issue. It's also the incremental cost that you add to building a house that makes it unaffordable. For example, if you add $1,000 to a price of a house, you eliminate a staggering 115,000 potential home buyers. 115,000. So imagine if you add 2,000, you basically priced out all of the University of Maryland, all of the University of Alabama from home ownership. Why is this important? Because of over-regulations. What the Department of Energy has done is actually increase, with their regulations, increase the cost of every appliance in the house. And so there's some new legislation out, potential legislation out by Gary Palmer, who is a subcommittee of the Energy and Commerce Committee, and Rick Allen, who are proposing, before you consider a regulation on any appliance, which is the way they implement climate policy, the bureaucrats you have to consider the disproportionate impact on the cost of those appliances on those low-income families. Not just low-income, because this is important for everybody.
Yeah. So tell me if I'm wrong here, but it sounds almost like they're trying to find racism where there isn't.
Well, you create racism where there isn't. One of the things that I bring out is careerism. So,
careerism. Wow. I'm going to write that word down.
Careerism. We need to talk about that because the incentive is to over-regulate. Because if I'm a bureaucrat and I'm in a job and my main goal is to make sure that I can show my value, I'm going to add regulation where it's not needed. So what
you know what, Donna, real quick, we used to have people like that in radio and music radio. Vic and I did. They were called consultants. They had to validate their job, so they would say, they'd come in and they'd say, oh, even if we were number one in the market, they'd say, well, you got to make some tweaks here and there, and then just to validate their job.
Yes, and what they've done is made it. What they've done is taken consumer choice away, because you basically are pricing the consumers out of the basic markets, like being able to afford a stove or a water heater or a furnace. And so what happens is, this new legislation, it makes them consider not just the incremental cost to the price of that appliance, but also the installation cost, which is something, people never think about. I mean, it's easy to say you should convert your gas stove to an electric stove, but they don't tell you that you need $10,000 or $15,000 to rewire your house if you live in an older home, like most minorities do, in order to be able to put that stove in your house. And what are you going to do? Make their houses worth nothing if you have impacts like you have in California, where they're sitting there and saying you have to have electric stove.
We're talking about. No, go ahead.
No, so this is where this legislation is so important. But what this act will do is make them look at all the costs, the impacts on people that can't afford it, but they also give them the ability to do a look back and fix bad regulations that they've already put in place. A lot of these home appliances have been regulated 4 and 6 times already, and then they're going to add new regulations on top of it. So this is actually pulling back a lot of what the Biden administration put in place and the Obama administration put in place, and making sure that we're thinking about consumers first.
So we're talking about disparate impact, and we're talking to Donna Jackson from CFACT. You can find her at CFACT, CFACT.org. Donna, the Trump Department of Justice, they announced new regulations that ban the use of disparate impact. Now, this is what you sent to me. It's a leftist theory that says a racial disparity in outcomes must always be the result of racism and discrimination. Again, that's saying that almost doesn't even make sense.
Well, I'm so glad that Trump is pulling back a lot of these fake racism where racism doesn't exist.
Right.
Because what they're saying is, it's not about accountability. It's not about benchmarks. It's not about choices. It's about it must be racism if I make a bad choice. And that's really at the heart of it. What we see is a lot of groups have embraced a lot of government programs instead of private sector jobs or investments, so that they don't have the economic upward mobility that they really need.
Right.
So if I go to school for social justice or, I'm just saying, and those are real degrees.
They are.
They are for gender theory instead of engineering, then I'm going to make less money. Not because there's some racism, but how many, gender theory, jobs are there, and how does gender theory help, sell a Ford pickup truck?
Right.
So they're not consumed. And so these theories were really stupid in the first place. They made no sense. But we have to get back to a common sense where we're looking at free markets and capitalism as the best way for people to be able to thrive. And we need to get mentally, and I say this about my own people, mentally, we have to stop thinking that it's about looking at somebody else and what the government can do for us, as opposed to what initiative and innovation we have within ourselves.
Exactly
That's
right.
the bottom line.
That is the bottom line.
We have to,
Go ahead.
yeah, we have to have communities that are not government dependent. We have to have communities where you have industrial complexes, which is what the Trump administration wants to do, where we have private sector jobs, where we create an ecosystem for the creation of small businesses that finance and actually service those industries. And that starts from looking at your own innovation and what you're capable of presenting. But that's not what we're doing.
See, I
So
thought,
I think that's pulling that back.
oh yeah, yeah. And I always thought during the Biden administration that prices were going up on appliances because of the regulations that they were putting in place for the green grift. And I was like, okay, we need to change that. And that's what President Trump wants to do, is basically step back and deregulate. For every regulation he puts in that's positive, he wants to get rid of 100 of them. But you're saying it's not, the prices are going up, not just because of all that, not because they're going to get rid of gas-powered appliances, but they're also going up because of this disparate impact.
Well, yes. I mean, it is, President Trump is doing absolutely the right thing when it comes to pulling back these regulations, but that's also a barrier as well. Sitting there and, one of the issues that the Biden administration had initiated was the Justice 40 initiative, where every agency had to consider environmental justice and give an environmental justice grant out for 40% of all of his grants for every agency. That's crazy, because it was all dedicated to solar, wind, and all of these green grifts. But these are really just paydays and ways to control people, to control what people can do in their houses. That's desperate. The impacts is just speak to make people not pay attention to really what's going on, and that's the theft of taxpayer dollars. So it's over-regulations and the theft of taxpayer dollars. And you know what? To be honest with you, if you look at what's happening in Minnesota, you can see that theft is always going on. And the way to be able to have an environment that is conducive for economic upward mobility and prosperity for this country is to have less government interference and not more. And you can't look at a statistic and say, well, because these people have more wealth than other people, it's because there's something nefarious going on. If you look at the incomes and look at the U.S. Census actually income, there are actually 7 ethnic groups that are wealthier than white Americans. So if this because of racism, right?
Yeah.
Then why are these ethnic groups wealthier than white Americans? And then between white Americans and black Americans, there's another 6.
That's deflection,
ethnic
Donna. That's
minorities.
deflection. That's what we talk about all the time. They're deflecting. They don't want you to get to the root of what's really going on here. And you mentioned that the federal government needs to step back away from and let the private sector take hold and do what they're supposed to do. But at the same time, as we're seeing in Minnesota, the government also needs to verify. If they're going to give out a dime of American taxpayer money, it needs to be followed up with verification.
Yeah, and I've always said that the problem with these low-income programs is not that there's not enough money, it's too much money. When you have that much money flowing, you're going to have fraud. And the easiest way to do it is when you look at to do it in urban areas, because not that many people will pay attention. The other thing is people will be afraid to look at it and say something because they're afraid they're going to be called, a racist or, xenophobic or Islamic phobic or whatever the case is. So there's too much money.
Yeah.
I think the best way to do it is let capitalism do his job, let free markets do his job, and have the government step away from over-regulating and also from passing out too much money. 22% of our GDP, estimated as much as 22% of our GDP actually goes to welfare transfer programs.
Hey, Donna Jackson, we got to go, but outlook for 2026 real quick here.
I think that, President Trump is on is doing a great job. He's pulling back regulations. We're going to get some legislation passed, and also people will start to feel much more feel wealthier once we see all of those private sector jobs come back to America.
All right, Donna. Well, to you and your family, Happy New Year.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
We'll see you in the new year, okay, Donna? Take care. And we'll be right back with Tim Jones next.
NewstalkSTL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Bunny Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Bunny Radio every weekend on NewstalkSTL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeBunnyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
It's more than a rebellion. When your teen is slipping into drugs or alcohol, when social media and pornography consume their time and their mind, when depression and even suicidal thoughts cast a shadow over your home, as a parent, you feel powerless. There is hope. At Turnabout Ranch, troubled teens step away from the chaos and into a clarity of nature on a working cattle ranch. Care for horses, learn responsibility, build trust, and rediscover purpose. It isn't theory, it's real work, real therapy, real healing. Families from across the country have found transformation right here, just when they thought hope was gone. If your teen is struggling with addiction, harmful online behaviors, even weight management, call right now and get the help you all need.
800-219-2494. 800-219-2494. 800-219-2494. That's 800-219-2494.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewstalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Amid a huge fraud scandal in Minnesota, the Trump administration has suspended all child care payments to the state.
I spoke directly with the director of the Minnesota Child Care Services Office. She could not tell me with confidence whether those allegations of fraud are isolated or whether there's fraud stretching statewide.
Assistant Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Adams says Minnesota gets $185 million in federal child care funds each year. HHS is demanding Minnesota Governor Tim Walz provide detailed information about federally funded child care centers in the state. Meanwhile, Minnesota Republicans are clamoring for Walz to step down. All of this snuffling and sniffling, the aches and pains, and what to do to bring down that fever. It is that time of the year, and this year, correspondent Bill Alexander says the flu is coming on strong.
According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, there have been at least 7.5 million flu cases this season, as well as at least 81,000 hospitalizations and 3,100 deaths. The CDC says 32 jurisdictions are showing high or very high levels of the flu. Jurisdictions include all 50 states and some territories, as well as the District of Columbia and New York City.
Where tonight it's the traditional Times Square ball drop to ring in the new year. More than 1 million people are expected to turn out, and New York Mayor Eric Adams says, we're ready.
We will have plainclothes K-9 teams, officers on horsebacks, on our trains, subway stations, and in helicopters and on boats. Pedestrians and vehicle closures will be in effect leading up to and during the event. Security is everyone's responsibility. Again, see something, say something, do something.
The Dow is down 163 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at endurancewarranty.com.
This is an announcement to all United States vehicle owners who own a 2003 or newer vehicle with a manufacturer's warranty about to expire, or no warranty coverage at all. With a struggling economy and the cost of living on the rise, Endurance is now offering an affordable, low-cost vehicle coverage plan to the general public. As of today, you could be one of millions of drivers that now may qualify to have your vehicle protected under this coverage and have all future covered auto repairs paid directly to the repair shop for you. You pick your plan. You pick your deductible. You even pick the repair shop. Roadside service, towing, and rental coverage is included. Get your vehicle protected now and save your wallet from costly vehicle repairs. A toll-free number has been established for you to call for your free 5-minute quote and to see if you qualify. The number to call is 800-298-9534. 800-298-9534. Again, that's 800-298-9534.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Koch with your first alert forecast. We're tracking partly cloudy skies, highs towards the lower 40s. Things will look to cool down slightly into New Year's Day on Thursday, a high of 38 degrees, partly cloudy. Conditions remain back towards the lower 40s as we head throughout Friday and this upcoming weekend. Temperatures will look to continue to rise, remaining dry throughout much of next week. Highs back towards the lower 50s and upper 40s. Then Thursday and Friday of next week will welcome chances of showers. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Koch.
Vic Porcelli.
Come on, you're Italian. You understand.
Every day is a busy day all of a sudden.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
Tough and smart, and I love Italian, so he's definitely Italian.
At least I have this show to come and talk about it and let some stuff up.
What kind of a show are you guys putting on here today?
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Hour number 2 of the 3-hour tour. Vic is on shore leave. He'll be, I know, bad. But he'll be back here on Monday, and I really appreciate you being here, Vic Heads. This is fun for me. I know it shouldn't be, but it really is. And but the thing is that we're getting out a lot of important information, and we're in the final day. This is New Year's Eve 2025. And it's amazing to me. It almost feels like 12 months ago that we had the January 1st. I know, Vic. I'm no comedian like Vic Porcelli, but you know what? I'm not going to try to be either.
Timmy.
Former Speaker of the House.
You just proved why you left-wing loons are so insane.
Y'all ready for this?
Tim Jones.
Yeah, we do. We have Tim Jones here, and Tim, I try to be the comedian. I can't. I do dad jokes once in a while, but Vic does the real jokes.
Well, he's the professional.
Yes.
Yeah. He's the trained talking head.
Exactly right. So we had Tim. I've had you. You've been everywhere, Tim. You've been on every show. You travel around the world. And now you're on the final day. We're going to talk about what's coming up, what you think is going to be happening in 2026. I want to get your thoughts on that and how you feel we're going. But right now,
well, thank you for calling me the most interesting man in the world. I really appreciate that.
You are one of the most interesting.
Remember that? What was that commercial? It was the Modelo commercial?
Yeah.
The most interesting man in the world.
Oh yeah.
Indeed. Yeah. Great to be here. Thanks for having me, Ken Williams.
Thanks, Tim. Hey, we've got all kinds of news around here, and I want to try and step away a little bit from the Minneapolis thing. Everybody's talking about it. I touched on it the last hour. But let's get into a couple things maybe that are not maybe in the mainstream news, but are so important. And
can I mention one thing that's a positive thing that we need to start celebrating at midnight tonight?
Okay.
Do you realize that at midnight tonight, we will begin the 1-year celebration of the 250th anniversary of the United States of America? Yeah, there's studio audience on New Year's Eve. It's like the Tony Colombo variety show.
No kidding.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. And Ken, in honor of that, and this may be the last patriotic thing that New York City does for the reasonable future because Kami Mandami is coming in, they're going to drop the famous ball twice tonight. Did you know that?
No, why?
They're going to drop it one time to celebrate the end of the old year, the beginning of the new, and then they're actually going to raise it and drop it 4 minutes later to recognize America's 250th birthday.
Wow.
I think that's amazing that they're doing that.
Yeah.
All is not
What got
lost.
into them?
All is not lost. Yeah, what patriotism got into them?
Wait a minute.
All is not yet lost in the great New York City. I love New York. You know I do. I spent nearly 10 years there. Vic is from that part of the world. One of my favorite novels of all time. It's a fictional book. They made a movie out of it, but the movie was a kind of a disaster because the book is so huge and they tried to make a 2-hour movie out of it. It's called Winter's Tale, Tale, Winter's Tale. And it's a fictional it's a very like fairy tale-esque story of New York. It's the central character is Peter Lake, and he is a petty thief, and then he ends up finding true love in New York. And it's kind of a dreamy novel. It covers space and time. There's a flying horse in it. I mean, Pegasus, sort of like, and it's centered in and around New York.
Okay.
Not only Manhattan, but upstate New York as well. And it's very fanciful. It talks about things that actually happen in New York, but it also kind of exaggerates them and makes them larger than life. Like it talks about the New York winters, the famous New York winters of old. But, instead of just talking about there was a little bit of snow, they talk about how the Hudson froze solid and there was 50 feet of snow and they had to march through them with the big ice catchers. It's kind of a timeless kind of a piece, It's a very cool novel. It's written by a guy named Mark Halpern, I think was his name. Yeah. Very, very. Anyway, I love New York. I love lots of things about New York. And I'm sad that a communist is going to take the reins of the capitalistic financial center of the world at midnight tonight. It's just not going to work out well, Ken.
Yeah.
Unless he's not able to accomplish anything that he promised he would do. And I think hope springs eternal for that.
Well, the first 4 years, you're not going to, I think he's going to try a few things, but I don't think you're going to see the real result of socialism unless he is reelected in that position, Tim. And then he takes on everything. He'll do his damage then, as far as I'm concerned.
And it will depend on how much rope that Kathy Hochul wants to give to him, the current governor. But because being the political animal that she is and being the left-wing liberal progressive that she is, she will have to also test the tea leaves of not just the Manhattan electorate, but of the New York electorate writ large of the entire state. And as you know, as you probably would guess, most of upstate New York is not full of communist, socialist radicals.
Oh, no, right.
But of more like people that think and do like you and I and NewstalkSTL
Common sense
Nation.
people.
Common sense people, not even conservatives,
No,
right?
Right.
Because they're New Yorkers. They're on the East Coast, but they're common sense. New York is still, especially upstate New York, is still a hard place to live, work, and raise a family, putting politics aside, because in the wintertime, it's rough. And you can't have the government do everything for you because it's impossible. And you kind of have to continue to scratch out your existence despite whatever God and Mother Nature throws at you. And so it's still a rough and tumble kind of blue collar place where people have to continue to lift themselves up with the bootstraps, and government physically and financially can't do everything for you. So I'm hoping that the more center-right electorate of upstate New York keeps Kathy Hochul in check, and that she therefore keeps Kami Mandami in check and doesn't let him completely ruin this magnificent and awesome city that New York once was and can be again.
So, Tim, now that you brought that up, let's talk about our 250th anniversary. I love this idea of just finishing up the whole segment with this one, because, the left, over the last 4 years especially, I remember back in probably, it was between 2018 and maybe 2022, somewhere in there, where we lost so much patriotism. Everybody's saying, "Oh, you shouldn't be talking about that. Why do you have an American flag out in front of your house?" I mean, it was really that bad. I don't know if people remember.
They conflated it with extremism and being a white Christian racist nationalist, whatever that means. But if you were a patriot, then in the left's mind, in the left-wing liberal, and we do speak left-wing liberal. We've learned from them. We've studied them in their native habitat.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have.
And it's like that line from Airplane, I speak jive. you know?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
I speak left-wing liberal.
Excuse me, stewardess, I speak drive.
Yes. And so they have conflated patriotism with racism, xenophobia, the patriarchal colonizing society, civilization itself. They've decided the left, Ken, has decided that civilization itself is evil and racist and wrong. And it couldn't be further from the truth. Look, the founding fathers, and, I always say the founding mothers too, because there were great women, lady leaders at that time as well,
yeah.
like Betsy Ross and John Adams' wife, Abigail, and so on and so forth. So, Susan B. Anthony's, the suffrage movement and all that. So anyway, the left in its mind thinks that all of the world's problems began with the founding fathers and mothers of the United States of America, the 1700s. You know, they think that things like that things like law and order and a foundational civilizational society was all born in 1776. Well, there were societies and civilizations around for thousands of years before that practiced things like representative democracy, right?
Yeah.
And nationalism and
you better be careful how you say that word.
And pride and patriotism in your country, in your nation state, right?
Yeah.
You can go back to the Greeks and the Romans. And look, did the United States of America, was it perfect? No. Did we learn from our mistakes? Yes. And we continued to do so. But slavery was not invented by the founders of this country. It has been around since time
thousands of years
immemorial. Yeah. Mankind has enslaved mankind since Cain killed Abel. That is the ultimate form of enslavement, is to kill your fellow man or woman, right?
But when you come up to the American situation, the American idea, it was the Democrats that didn't want to get rid of slavery. They seem to forget that, and they want to try and reinvent themselves as something else and actually replace
that is
the
correct.
idea.
So what the left does is they only talk about the few negative things that existed in early America, and they never talk about how in the foundational documents that Thomas Jefferson was the author of, and even though he was a slave owner, right? He was,
that was from the time, though.
Right. Thomas Jefferson wrote the words into the Declaration of Independence, meaning that all men, and by the way, that is not a sexist connotation. At the time, men meant humankind. It meant all human beings.
Right.
He wrote that all men are created equal. He didn't write only white men, only all white men are created equal, or only all white men who own land are created equal.
Right.
Only people who came from Europe are created equal. He wrote all men meaning humankind, every human is created equal. Now, he knew he couldn't abolish slavery at the same time because Benjamin Franklin, the progressive, okay?
Yeah.
And if we want to talk in today's parlance about what occurred back then, Jefferson was the original Republican in my mind. He was the original states' rights guy. He was the original small r Republican in everything that he did in wanting a weaker federal government and stronger state governments.
Okay.
Franklin was the more liberal progressive thinker at his time, okay? Right. Along with Adams. Adams and Franklin were more of the progressives, and Jefferson and Washington, to an extent, were more of the traditionalist originalists, okay, and more of the conservatives. But they all worked together. They all figured out how to do this all together.
And that's the key right there, is that they all found a way to compromise and build this country the way it is, the way it should be.
And it was Franklin who said to his friend Thomas Jefferson, Thomas, I know what you want to do, abolish slavery, even though Jefferson was the slave owner. I know, Thomas, you want to abolish slavery, but we can't physically do that right now. We can't take on the world's largest superpower, the United Kingdom,
right?
Britain. We can't take on and defeat them and divide our nation at the same time. We divided the nation later.
Could you imagine what would have happened if they would have tried to take that on? We would never have won.
Never would have been a
It would have
country.
never happened.
Never would have
It
happened.
would have splintered the Patriots in such a division that they couldn't have fought together.
But by putting those words in the Declaration, we got around to doing that, what, barely 60 years later?
Right.
When we literally fought a civil war over states' rights, slavery. There's a lot of things. It wasn't just one thing involved in the Civil War. Everyone likes to the liberals like to brush it nowadays and say what it was or wasn't about. But this nation was the embodiment of representative democracy that had been around since the Greco-Roman Empire days, but we made it something better.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't just going to be a small collection of wealthy landowners like it was back in Roman times. The anointed class, right? Those were all the white men of their days, right?
Right.
The Roman men of their days. But by Jefferson putting those words in that original Declaration, he knew that we were not perfect, but we were going to try to become a more perfect union.
A more perfect union.
As the nation progressed.
Right.
And do we still have more work to do? Every single day. But this has been the greatest successful experiment in representative democracy for all people that we've ever seen on the planet Earth. And it's something that today's left wants to attack and demonize and minimize and destroy.
And when you were talking about the founding fathers being progressives, by today's standards, they would be conservative.
Yeah, they'd be John McCain Republicans, or they would be John Fetterman Democrats.
Something like that. But today they've lurched so far left. They are socialists, and you know what? They won't even hide it. As we go into the 250th anniversary of this country, Tim, what are your thoughts about that? Because I think this year, President Trump wants to make this such a great celebration for the whole year. And that's why he's getting so much pushback. Oh, parades? You're not going to have a parade. That sounds very Nazi-ish. Oh, you want to have these kids competing? That sounds very Nazi-ish. They keep bringing up this whole, this whole Nazi thing, this thought process that if you bring people together and if they're patriotic and if they love their country and they want to do something together, unified, black, white, brown, doesn't matter who you are, but if you're American, let's do this. And that the left is trying to find some way in 2026, I bet you that they're going to try and knock this down to be, it's not so patriotic.
And you know why they want to do that? It's because of something that Stephen Miller recently said, one of Donald Trump's closest advisors, that the left loves to, they love to loathe Stephen Miller, don't they? You know why?
They hate him, man.
Because he gets right to the crux of the issue every single time he speaks, and he destroys their epically demonic narrative. The today's left, you notice I don't say all Democrats.
No, right.
Because I do not believe that all Democrats are like this. But the people,
Tim, I'm sorry, we always say that.
Yes.
That you have people listening right now that might be Democrat. They're just going to their job every day, coming home, and they're actually probably sitting at the table thinking, I'm in this party still, and look how far left it's gone.
And I will blame those normal Democrats for allowing these left-wing lunatics to take over. Today's ruling class, so the ruling class of the left, the leaders of the dysfunctional DC Democratic, party based in DC, are largely godless, anti-American, anti-patriotic people.
Yeah.
And why is that so? Well, because as Stephen Miller said, it's much easier to rule over an empire of ash than to do the hard work of governing pursuant to the consent of the governed.
Wow. Those are some pretty heavy words.
Right? Isn't it easier to rule over something that's an absolute shoot show? I better be careful what I say.
Don't you cuss on this here radio.
I am being careful. It's much easier to rule over, the Somaliazation of America,
right,
than to actually do the hard work of constantly working towards bipartisan majority decisions of governing. That's hard to do. It is hard to. And what did Franklin say to the question of, Mr. Franklin, what have you all done? We've created a republic. if we can keep it.
If we can keep it.
If we can keep it.
Well, on this New Year's Eve, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
I want to ask you, I was going to say goodbye. Could you hang?
I'll hang for one more segment.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Bonus.
Man. All right, wonderful.
Bonus
We'll continue
time.
this conversation with former Speaker of the Missouri House, Tim Jones. And, of course, Tim Jones and Chris Arps, they have their show 4 to 6 p.m. weekdays here on News Talk STL. I'm Ken Williams, executive producer for the Vic Porcelli Show. Vic is out, and I'm just filling in on this final day. If you get a chance, get on the streams. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Rumble, and X. Put in your thoughts about 2026, anything you want, projections, whatever. All right, coming up, more conversation. We'll be right back on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL, number one for live and local conservative talk.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. The Vic Porcelli Show.
I think you all know that I've always felt the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros and Exteriors, your all-in-one service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. Christine and I discovered Gutter Pros and Exteriors when we bought our home and inherited a gutter problem. And they've also repaired siding damage on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros team are also the best for repairing other exterior damage, including fascia, soffit, and all siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros and Exteriors can help your home or business right now at gutterpros.com.
Hi, this is Mark Harder with RE/MAX Results, the region's largest RE/MAX real estate brokerage. It is cold outside, but the real estate market is hot. This is a great time to buy or sell a home. Interest rates are also declining, which gives you more buying power. Someday is not a day on the calendar, but today is. Call me at 314-852-8933 for a free custom home buying plan. 314-852-8933.
Craving authentic Cuban flavors? Come home to Havana 1961, where family recipes passed down through generations come to life in every bite. From chef and owner Mama Maria's famous Cuban sandwiches to classic entrees bursting with bold, fresh flavors, we bring the warmth and tradition of Havana right here to Missouri. Havana 1961, where great food, culture, and community come together. On Main, in St. Peter's, or at Havana1961.com. We welcome you like familia.
News Talk STL. News Talk STL.
All my friends never know rider.
Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019.
Hey, this is Jim Florentine. You listen to Vic and Ken on the Vic Porcelli Show on 94.1 and 101.9 News Talk STL.
Thanks, Jim. But it's just me, Ken, executive producer of the Vic Porcelli Show here in for Vic. And coming up later on, we're going to, in fact, this hour, we're going to bring in Dr. Bryan Deloney. He's the host of Simply Health with Dr. Bryan Deloney every Saturday at noon here on News Talk STL. And once again, get on our streams, and if you'd like to get the phone app, your phone is your radio now. It's the News Talk STL app. It's awesome. One push, and you're there. We're going to continue a conversation with the former Speaker of the Missouri House, Tim Jones. And Tim, you got the show from 4 to 6 p.m. with Chris Arps. I never miss it. It's an awesome show, and thanks for being here, man.
Well, you'll have to miss it today because Tony Colombo is taking over.
Okay, well, I'll take that.
The annual Colombo and Company New Year's Eve Spectacular Extravaganza.
Oh, nice.
As we call it, or as I call it.
Well, that's okay.
Tony's done that
I
every
think he
year.
likes it, actually.
Tony has done this. Tony has done a New Year's Eve variety style show, which is cool because it's what radio used to do back in the day, right, Ken? I mean,
Yeah.
people used to listen to exclusively the radio before we had as my grandpa used to say, the boob tube, the TV, right? And because TV, I didn't say anything improper there. TVs used to have tubes all you youngsters.
Oh, yeah.
The TV's cathode ray tubes, right?
Right.
Back before we had flat screens and all that stuff. Anyway, so radio, which is still, of course, an amazing way to be connected with people in your community and around the world. It provides a very personal touch because you can run into all of us out here in the community.
Yeah.
You can come to our events that we hold and do things like that. So radio is very personal. You're usually listening to it in your car, sometimes alone, sometimes with friends and family. You can do other things while you're listening. When you're watching TV, you have to sit there like a bump on a log,
right,
and be a couch potato. But when the radio's on, Ken, when I'm at home listening to you guys, I got all the smart speakers in the house, got them all on. So no matter what I am on what floor of my house, no matter what room I'm in, I can hear News Talk STL, but I can be running around,
right,
cleaning my socks, putting my stuff away, doing my other work, and I'm still listening. That's the magic of auditory sensation.
We're an uninvasive friend.
We're a non-invasive species.
Exactly right. And you know what? You can't do this on TV. You can't talk to everybody live like Dave here. Hey, listener Dave, what's going on, brother?
Hey, it's like it's New Year's Eve and I get to party with you guys.
Exactly right,
Indeed.
man.
Pop the champagne.
No kidding. Well, yeah, where's that champagne, by the way?
Where is that? Yeah.
Huh.
Hey, guys, I'm going to try to get this out. I'm recovering from the flu and I feel 10,000% better, but now I got this persistent pain in the ass Democrat cough. So I apologize if I start sounding like a Democrat, hacking and coughing and whining. Here's the question that I have. Kenny, you know what I think. I love you so much. And Speaker Jones, the thing I like about you is that you're not a wussy with the P. You say it like it is. People don't like it. It's beautiful. Here's a question I have. I'm sorry. I don't care. All Democrats are a pile of garbage. They're just POSs. Mm-hmm. I don't care what they say. They're just garbage. Here's the question that I have. How many Republicans do you think fall into that same realm, but they're too big of cowards to bring themselves out? Because I can't take it anymore. I'm sick and tired of weenie Republicans. All I can say is a good thing we have young guys like Nate. Oh my God, brain cramp! I forgot his
name. Lucas.
Nate Lucas, yeah.
Nate, yes. Because you and me and Kenny, we're up in years. We're getting close to retirement. We got young guys like Nate Lucas and state.
Yeah, I got
state
golf
senator.
to play, Dave. I can't be doing this my whole life. Yeah.
So we got young guys like that to fight for. But and this is what my wife doesn't understand. Then I'll listen to what you guys have to say. My wife doesn't understand my anger. I said because I'm 60 now. Okay, I don't know how much more time I have. I don't know if I have 30, 20. I don't know how much.
Yeah.
But I will fight I will die to save my kids, your kids, my grand. I will give my life for these people that I love so much. But the question that I have is how many of these Republicans that call themselves Republicans are really Republicans or just POS that are imposters, and how can we smoke them out so we know not to vote for them?
All right, Dave, real quick, because we got to get moving on here, but you know what? You were so correct. We've talked about this. We've talked about this with Tim on the Vic Porcelli Show, and what's happening here, you've got this aberration of a politician who's not a politician called Donald Trump, and he's trying so hard to change and beat the system, but you're right. There are Republicans here, and Tim, you can address this as well, because you were involved, Tim. You were directly involved in this on a state level, and you go visit Washington, D.C. all the time, so you see it, Tim. How do we get over that to where you have these people, they don't care. All they want to do is find the next grift, the next thing, to the ladder up for themselves.
Yep. There's too many Republicans that are just like Democrats and want to be involved in public service, public policy formation and politics just because they want the political power. And so therefore we have to police our own. We have to hold our own party. Most of us do vote Republican. I am a former Republican Speaker of the House, so I was part of the swamp at one point. I tried to reform the swamp as much as possible.
It was tough though, right?
But the Republican Party needs to constantly and forever remain the party of Reagan and Donald Trump, and that is reformers of government. Republicans don't do big government any better than Democrats, and oftentimes, because it's not in our nature, we do it even that much worse.
So what it comes down to is the voter.
Yes.
That's really what it comes down. You talked about that earlier with the
And
Democrats.
That's where we come in.
Yeah.
So it's not enough, Ken, for us to sit here behind these microphones. In my humble opinion, it's not enough for us to sit behind these microphones and simply be casual observers and report on what's going on and why Republicans may be doing something or other one way or the other. I believe it's also our job and duty as Americans who want to preserve this republic. And you heard the emotion there in Dave's voice for future generations. We need to advocate as well for how they need to be more Republican or how they need to start acting like Republicans in the first place. Example, it would be the Obamacare COVID super subsidies. Thank God they're going to expire tonight at midnight.
Yeah.
Now, was it politically expedient for Republicans to allow that to happen? No. Some of them may suffer for that at the ballot box, but it was the right thing to do, and it was right for us to advocate for the expiration of those. Now, what do we do about the healthcare problem? We come up with a solution.
Yeah.
We come up with a free market capitalist solution to the healthcare crises in our country.
And Dave, I just want to say before you get off the phone, Happy New Year, my brother. And
Happy New Year.
And thank you for being here. And yes, you're right, Dave. We do this to defend our children and our grandchildren coming up. But you know what, Dave? I don't want to take away from us either. I mean, I could die tomorrow, but I could live to be for 40 more years. We don't know.
Well, no, that's true. Kenny, if I could get one quick thing in, and then
Sure, man.
My buddy I was talking to, who's 10 years older than me, he said the further we get away from the World War II people, the bigger of a wussy society we're coming. And all I know, I was raised by a brave World War II guy, and he instilled in me to love and take care of people. But he also raised me, if I got to put my foot in somebody's behind to save someone else's life, I will do it. Violence is not the way, but sometimes that's the only thing.
Well, there you
understand. Go. I'm not professing it because I just soon talk.
Well, no.
My point being is God bless the World War II vets. God bless them.
Yeah, God bless all of our veterans, actually, Dave. And hey, God bless you, my friend.
Thanks, Kenny. Love you guys. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year's Eve, buddy.
Happy New Year.
See you, bud.
Yeah,
Yeah,
look.
he's right, though, Tim. We've got to do this, and we can't, as Vic always says, and I always say, be on the offensive. We cannot allow them to take over, and they can't devour our culturalism, and they can't take over us, our education systems, Tim. They've tried it. We found out maybe it's not too late. It could change, but we've got to be persistent and try and move forward with it.
Yeah, and that's the whole purpose of this radio station. We didn't create this radio station to simply be some sort of sterile, static AP newswire. You know?
Right.
Yes. Do we report the news? I think we report the news as good of, if not better than many of the major cable news networks. But we also tell you our opinions, and we tell you when we're telling you our opinions.
Right.
And then we also suggest to you what the right course of action would be for Republicans and conservatives who are actually in elected government, and those like me who were in elected government, and now I work my butt off to be as persuasive and as impactful as possible with all of the other public policy projects that I work on, representing great organizations like Grover Norquist's Americans for Tax Reform here in the Midwest, the American Legislative Exchange Council, the State Freedom Caucus Network, which is the Missouri Freedom Caucus, and so many other awesome clients. I am so blessed, Ken, to have been able to remain what many have told me, a very viable part of the public policy ecosystem. So it's it's my responsibility not just to be a casual spectator and bystander and say, well, yeah, look at that. Republicans have this Obamacare thing, and, you know, it would be good politics for them to extend these COVID subsidies. So that's what some of them should do. No, we need to constantly be reforming government. We need to call out Obamacare for the abject failure. It has been stop pretending it's not. Obamacare has been an abject failure. So just because it's politically expedient, why would we put more taxpayer money into a failed system? We need to advocate for a better way to provide access to healthcare around the country. Healthcare is also not a right enshrined in the Constitution. But should we as Republicans make healthcare access more easy and more affordable? Sure, we should try to do that. But it's not a right. It's never going to be a right. The rights are in our Constitution Read that little book first, and
Yeah.
then everything else falls into place.
And Tim, I didn't want to make the show all about, doing end of year stuff and all that. I just wanted to get each guest that we've had on throughout the year and ask them, what are your thoughts for 2026?
So I think, depends on what subject area we're talking about here. Economics, I think it's going to be a great year for the economy, which will be a great year politically for Donald Trump and Republicans, if that's true. GDP growth of over 4%, inflation dropping like a rock, gas prices following suit, mortgage rates as well. And for the first time, Kenny, in 20 years, wages rising faster than home prices.
How about
Great
that?
news for first-time home buyers and the next generation. And Ken, Dave said something that was absolutely spectacular, correct? You and I and him, we will fight this fight as long as God gives us breath, but we better have some successive generations coming behind us to hand off the torch to next.
And that's the job of the existing Republican Party, to make sure that they do have that farm system in place, because no one's going to just come along and make it happen. They've got to make it happen, Tim. Well, Tim, to you and your family, you have got such a wonderful family.
Thank you.
Here's to 2026, and Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to my wonderful wife, Suzanne, my daughters, Katie and Abby. Those ladies put up with so much of the most patient people on the planet. Thank you to everyone in News Talk STL Nation. You have made us number one for live and local conservative talk. Ken, as we hit our 5-year anniversary in 2026, with many more decades to come.
Isn't that great? We have the 250th anniversary of our nation, our great nation, and the 5-year anniversary of News Talk STL, which, by the way, I equated to the idea that Nick Shirley, he's been doing that work as an independent journalist, as we are as an independent radio station.
And it's an honor and a privilege to be here every week on the Vic Porcelli Show with you and all the Vic heads.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. The Vic Porcelli Show.
Live and be well.
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL. If you have a phone, you have a radio.
I listen to News Talk STL on the app driving to work.
Download the News Talk STL app.
You got to get the News Talk STL app.
Love the app. Can listen anywhere in St. Louis.
And listen anytime. News Talk STL right on my phone. Anywhere.
Dr. Randy Tobler here with daughter Shannon, our ops director at Body of Health.
As you celebrate the holidays with loved ones, know that we are here whether you have a medical problem or simply want to stay healthy for the next 100 holidays.
We provide accessible, affordable primary care without the barriers of traditional insurance.
Just straightforward healthcare centered on you.
Visit bodyofhealth.com today and schedule a discovery call.
From all of us at Body of Health, Merry Christmas and a healthy New Year.
Why leave your company's story to chance? In today's digital world, video content isn't just an option. It's essential for your success. At Blue Ocean Media Group, we've spent decades crafting compelling visual stories for businesses just like yours. From concept to completion, our award-winning team transforms your vision into powerful video content that connects with your audience and drives results. Don't trust your brand to amateurs. Partner with Blue Ocean Media Group. Visit blueoceanmediagroup.com today, and let's bring your story to life.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you're testing your blood sugar 4 or more times per day, injecting insulin 3 or more times per day, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetic Health Hotline today.
800-515-2380. That's 800-515-2380. Paid for by U.S. Med.
Fox News commentary with Charlie Hurt. Next.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com, because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, ETHOS, ethos.com/Mike.
Here's Charlie Hurt.
Democrats, the reason they're so good at politics is they're all about power. They love
power, and they understand about how you hold on to power. And the way you hold on to power is you never admit that maybe you're the problem. And I think it's bad for the country, because I think the country is always going to be healthier and better off if you have two vigorous, smart parties competing with each other with the best ideas. Right now, you have a Democrat Party that is not, it's all about race. It's all about, obviously, power. It's all about, as we're seeing out in a place like Minnesota, there's a lot of corruption that is threaded into every aspect of that power. And I don't think that that's healthy for anybody in this country.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019.
Hi, it's Dr. Ben Carson, and you're listening to the Vic Porcelli Show on News Talk STL.
And coming up, we've got a surprise guest for you in the 11 o'clock hour. I can't mention the name, but yeah, stay tuned. Get ready. And join us on the stream. We've got, we're on X, Rumble, Facebook, and Instagram. We're live right now. And also, we're going to hear from Drew Thomas Allen, who has a new book out. We want to discuss that. And Mark Harder is joining us in the studio as well. But right now, someone I've been talking about, and we do a show. He does a show on Saturdays at noon here on News Talk STL. It's called Simply Health with Dr. Bryan Deloney. It's every Saturday at noon. And he's with us right here in the studio. Hey, welcome to the studio live, Dr. Deloney.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So you and I, we have these conversations every Friday, and I'm not exaggerating here when I say this. Dr. Deloney comes in, and we talk for probably an hour and a half about everything.
Yeah,
non-medical related,
right?
Yeah. And it's like, oh, I guess I better go here, But you and I were talking, and I said, you need to come on to our show, and I said, would that be of interest to you? And you were like,
of course. Of course. Yeah. I mean, we literally always, we talk about these same topics. Like you said, my show's more geared towards health and empowering people, to get control of their health, turn around disease, and get off medications and all those types of things. And we go through and do the show, and then we spend an hour and a half talking about everything else.
Everything else, yeah.
Right.
And by the way, about you and your show and everything that I've been doing with producing your show, I benefited. Yeah. I benefited from just listening to you and actually taking on like different kinds of vitamins that I never would have thought of in my life.
Yeah.
I take methylene blue,
I know,
which is dye basically. Yep. And my wife looks at me like she's like I'm crazy, but I'll tell you what, it has benefited me.
Yeah. It sharpens your mind. It's a great one. It's helps with cellular energetics. A lot of people aren't aware of the benefits of kind of like what you're doing, microdosing methylene blue. And just other nutrients. And that's, what we talk about all the time on the show is just like, how do you get your energy back? How do you get your body working? How do you get the cells to work for you and not against you in a sense? So,
and that's not why I brought you on here, is it?
No, right.
No,
right.
Because we're talking. I said, we need to have you come on and talk about, let's let it out, Dr. Deloney. Come on, right. Brian, let's tell everybody what's on your mind.
Well, it's the things that, I imagine what most of our listeners are the same, but you just see a lot of misinformation brought your direction, and it really starts to get aggravating. And from my standpoint, especially as a health provider, seeing everything that we're trying to do with like Kennedy, and I'm so,
you know how popular that man is.
I mean, I love it. Yeah, he actually cares about people. Who knew?
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. We have somebody in Health and Human Services who actually cares about people. But it's wonderful the things that he's trying to push to empower people, the things that Trump's doing to try, and in my opinion, the Republicans are trying to do to reform healthcare.
Yeah.
So it's actually allowing people health freedom and the ability to get quality care, which, just really wasn't there before. We were experiments, in my opinion. In a lot of ways.
They were taking this massive poll about the cabinet, and when they were having their cabinet meeting, and who is the most popular person, seriously, at that table. And it was by far Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
No kidding.
Yeah. And, some of the things
I would have thought Rubio. Is he?
Yeah.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah.
Well, see, here's the thing. That cabinet, all-star. I mean, really,
Seriously.
there is an exception. I'm having a problem with Bondi.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know what to think about her. Honestly, I feel like she's getting pushed in different directions. She's doing what she's told to do. I don't know.
Probably.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see more of the result of that. We didn't come in to talk about her, but and we will. Believe me, we're going to keep you updated starting in 2026
right.
of anything we find out about. But yeah, she's made some serious missteps early on with the Epstein files and all that. And I just, I'm trying to give her a chance. I want to like her. I really, really do want to like her, but not very popular among people just because of her perceived honesty. And Dr. Deloney, perception is what we're talking about here, because RFK Jr., he's perceived by the left, by the way, as being some kind of conspiracy theory quack. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I just find that to be very interesting that he, and he's an attorney and he's been fighting these people. He's been fighting the system, the medical model, and the injustices his entire career. So he is actually very versed in how the injustices are happening. And he's not a quack. He's actually following the data and he's providing the data, which before there was no data, or the data that was contradicting, they didn't follow it. Cause like when the RCTs were coming out about like the COVID vaccines and how that was affecting people, even the VAERS site and all the adverse reactions that were occurring, they were just sweeping that under the rug. And it was like historic numbers of adverse reactions and deaths that have never been reported in history on that site, the numbers. And that's just a fraction. It's like 1% of the actual amount. And yet they were, they weren't looking at it. They weren't considering it. And they just kept pushing this stuff on American people. And he's the only one who's just like, no, there's truth to that. And here's the data. And then I think he's very strategic. I like how he's like putting black box warnings first and just kind of, because he's slowly, gradually pulling, because he can't just like pull it out, but he's got to like work it out.
Right. And I was watching a Joe Rogan episode recently, and he's like, I can't even believe that the UK will have Fruit Loops, for example. And that's the big example, because it hits home so much to people. Is they have the same flavored Fruit Loops, but with none of the poisons that we have in them to make the colors that as bright and vibrant as they are. And which is, by the way, from what I understand, is actually petroleum products making those colors. And we have them in the United States, but we don't have them in the UK. Why can't we have those here?
Right. Well, and it's interesting because they say, oh, well, these colors are what really what makes kids want the food. And it's just like, no. Parents buy the boxes of food anyway. So it doesn't matter the colors, the kids are going to eat it. And really it drives more of an addiction, and it drives imbalances inside the neurological imbalances and chronic disease in kids. But it also, it makes them crave and then pushes the parents, of course. So there's strategic things that they're doing, because like you said, it's super aggravating. How to make healthy Fruit Loops, and you give them to the UK, but you purposefully sell them here this way, knowing that they're not good for people, and you're not willing to change. And it's for $1. You're literally saying, well, it's because like this is how we make more money off of it. So
see, this is what I've picked up from you. Okay. I used to think, okay, you take a vitamin and it makes you better. You take a vitamin, it does something to your body. You break it down to the mitochondria within the cells, and how they're oxygenated, these power supplies and all this other stuff. That's what you do on your show every single Saturday at noon. We're talking to Dr. Bryan Deloney. He's the host of Simply Health with Dr. Bryan Deloney. You can find him at Simply Health Integrated Medical.
simplyhealthintegrated.com.
Okay, simplyhealthintegrated.com. And I want to continue with this conversation about RFK Jr. because
I do want to let people know, just because like I love the show and I love the station. So for the listeners only, we have a special that we always tell people about,
Okay.
And we always give people the opportunity, because they don't know where their hormones are. They don't know inflammation markers, micronutrients. They've never checked these things. So they don't really know what their health is, and they get told the wrong information. So, if you go to our website, simplyhealthintegrated.com, or you call our office, you can Google us and things like that. But 636-590-4686, give us a call, mention the show, and we will do blood work, labs, and go over all the information with you at no cost to you.
See, I know
it's
you
only
do,
for the listeners.
I know you do this on your show,
Yeah.
which is great. I didn't think you'd be doing it on this show, which is very cool.
Yeah.
No. I'm really glad about that. So tell them it's free. These are tests that cost a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a huge opportunity. People don't realize, but it gives you true understanding of what's happening. Why do you have these health issues? Why are you fatigued? Why can't you sleep? Why don't you have the energy? Why do you have brain fog? Like you don't know because we're not looking at the right numbers. Your doctors are not checking the right things. They're just, cholesterol, maybe CBC or like a metabolic panel or something. They're not drilling down. And we're going to give you some real quality information and explain it to you, like help you understand what your numbers mean. So then it empowers you. Yeah, we just want people to be healthy.
And that's the bottom line. It's simplyhealthintegrated.com. If you need more information about that, you'd also go to newstalkstl.com and get that information. It's on the weekends show page. Let's continue with with RFK Jr., who's not a doctor actually,
right?
And they try to capitalize on that on the left.
I know,
and it's so interesting because I know when someone's over the target, when someone in the Trump administration, which is pretty much all of them,
right,
are over the target, then the left, they attack, and then the media attacks, and then everybody attacks.
Yep.
Next thing you know, on social media, they're talking about this conspiracy theorist known as RFK Jr. None of this is true. This man, I've been reading about him, okay? And now you tell me, you correct me because you're the doctor. When he says, be aware of the pharmaceuticals and be aware of the vaccinations you're giving your kids, be aware of what you're giving them and how many you're giving them at a time.
Yep.
He's doing it to help the children, keep children being alive,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
He's not saying don't vaccinate your kids. This is what the left tries to imply.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, because he also understands most of those vaccines, whenever they were tested for harm, or risk, they tested them one at a time with healthy kids, to see adverse reactions. And these studies were like not very good anyway, but they never tested them when you did 5 of them at a time. So it's one thing to have like the low enough dose of thimerosal, which is mercury, it at a certain level that they consider to be safe, but if you do 5 of them all at once, you're multiplying that by 5 times the amount that child's getting. So you're significantly increasing the chances of adverse reactions, and they came out and they said like a lot of these like autism is driven by Tylenol, which I thought was very interesting during pregnancy. But but we see a lot of correlations also with vaccines and I mean, there's just a strong one, but they didn't go there. They're very, I was wondering why they didn't say it, but they have not dismissed it. They've already they've mentioned it to them. And they're like, no, there's a correlation there. But I think they're just kind of taking their time. They want to make these things safe. They're not saying that vaccines aren't helpful, but we can formulate them without these chemicals that just are preservatives so that they can make a vaccine today that the kid can take 10 years from now. That's just so you can preserve it and save money. Now, if you just make the vaccines actually work, take out some of these adjuvants and these preservatives, you have a much lower chance that a kid's going to have a side effect, and it's actually going to potentially be helpful for their immune response.
And what I notice about that on the media, okay, the left-wing media, they just try to destroy him. Yeah. And when they mention things like this, they're very careful, especially now since Donald Trump's been suing every media outlet and winning. They're very careful to say, well, it could be. And they say, well, it's a possibility there. Numbers say that there could be this outcome.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And the interesting thing, so when you look at how they try to, again, poke holes at his credibility, his, experience and things like that, you could just look at the previous people who held that same position.
Right.
I mean, they were like the head of Walmart, as far as like one of their execs, they had no background either. They were just moved in and then they moved from there. And then you look to where did they go after that job? They went to like a pharmaceutical company, some sort of head position there. So you see, there was a lot of politics driving the person in that position prior to him, but nobody ever said anything because it was whoever was the administration at the time, and of course, whether it's Biden, and you can never say anything if you're, like Barack Obama or something, you better not say anything about that dude because it's racist. Everything's
right.
Everything's right. Like it all becomes gender or this identity politics, and they go there right away to try to shut you up, like Tim Walz is doing.
There's the key right there.
Yeah. Well, and it's like Tim Walz is doing right now with the Somalian thing. Like, this is fraud.
Yeah.
And so why are you calling the reporter who's asking you a question? Now he's a white supremacist because he's asking you, what is this fraud? I don't understand how it's just gotten so bad that they literally pull that card. And it's funny to me because he's the stereotype of, he's a white male, older man, and you fall right into
the stereotype that they want to avoid.
Exactly.
They want to actually call racist.
Yeah. And then he's calling people racist just because, and it's just, oh man, I don't know that stuff. I don't know all the details of it, but man, it looks really bad. And it's not just in his state, but it just is strange that it's in all the blue ones.
It's Dr. Bryan Deloney. Every Saturday at noon, we have Simply Health with Dr. Bryan Deloney here on News Talk STL. Doctor, it's been a pleasure working with you this year, and I want to say Happy New Year to you and your family.
Oh, thank you. You too.
Oh, our pleasure of you being here, and we'll be talking soon. And let's get you on this show more often.
Yeah, I'd love
you can vent for us.
Yeah,
because he wanted to touch some other things, but we always run out of time.
I know. I could go for days. Yes.
Thank you, Doctor. And we'll be back with St. Louis County Councilman Mark Harder and a surprise guest.
License number E2014A.
Hey, it's good to see you.
At Grasser Home Services, we're looking for happy plumbers to join our team. Plumbers who are polite, honest, and do the job right.
And love dogs. They must love dogs.
Plumbers who treat customers' homes with respect, care about the details, and show up on time.
Know a happy plumber who's great with dogs?
Have them call Grasser Home Services.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
When it comes to spending your tax dollars and teaching your kids, governments and school districts should be an open book. But in Missouri, that's not always the case. Recently, the Show Me Institute sent out a sunshine law request to school districts across the state, asking for information on whether certain topics are being taught. Specifically, a controversial one called critical race theory was included in the list. Many districts didn't respond. Some wanted to charge large fees to process the documents. Lee's Summit outside Kansas City wanted over $35,000. A rural district, Morgan County, wanted $15,000. The Sunshine Law does allow charging a reasonable fee for sending out information, but there's nothing reasonable about $35,000 or $15,000. These districts should want to be transparent about their curriculums. Taxpayers deserve to know what their kids are being taught. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewstalkSTL.com.
Forget about it.
I'm gonna grab a bite to eat. You want like a sandwich or something?
What kind of sandwich ain't too fattening?
I have a sandwich.
Breaking news from Town Hall in Washington, I'm Bernie Bennett. Make it 3 weeks in a row for the American job market.
First-time applications for unemployment benefits fell last week for the third straight week, dropping 16,000 from the week before to 199,000. It's fewer than analysts surveyed by FactSet had been expecting. They had predicted 208,000 new applications.
Correspondent Rich Thomason. It's already New Year's Day across the international date line. This is the sound of Sydney, Australia celebrations in the lead up to midnight. The enormous display showcasing music, art, and performances celebrating indigenous cultures. Auckland, New Zealand welcomed 2026 in with a fireworks display from Sky Tower, marking the start of global celebrations. Australia followed with a defiant celebration after its worst mass shooting in nearly 30 years, in which 2 gunmen targeted a Hanukkah celebration in Sydney, killing 15. A minute of silence honored the victims before the fireworks at Sydney Harbor Bridge. Indonesia scaled back festivities due to recent floods, while Hong Kong held a subdued event after a deadly fire. Berliners celebrated in snowfall, and Greece and Cyprus opted for quieter displays. New York City has increased security in Times Square for the ball drop at midnight. Russian drones have blasted apartment buildings and the power grid in the Ukrainian city of Odessa, injuring 6 people, including 3 children. Russian President Vladimir Putin expressed confidence in a military victory as the war nears its 4-year mark. Wall Street is holding steady at the beginning of the last day of trading for 2025. The S&P 500 was flat early Wednesday. The Dow Jones Industrial Average slipped 47 points to 0.1%. The NASDAQ Composite was little changed. Trading is expected to be light ahead of the New Year's Day holiday when markets will be closed. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Bernie Bennett.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Chuck McDowell here with Wesley Financial Group. My 78-year-old friend Linda called me yesterday. She bought a $40,000 timeshare in Nashville. She was told it was a great investment and that he would personally book all her vacations. All lies. She called our sales rep, Chris, the next morning at 4:57 a.m. to cancel, and she was told it was too late. You had your chance yesterday. Another lie. She has 10 days in Tennessee. I am in a war with the timeshare industry because people keep buying their lies.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michael's Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michael's has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michael's Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
Is your retirement income at risk if you or your spouse needs nursing home or in-home care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money, Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. The cost of long-term care is one of the biggest risks in retirement planning. For many retirees, a single nursing home stay can cause a significant reduction in assets that can permanently reduce your retirement income. Fortunately, there are affordable and flexible options available today that can help you manage the cost of long-term care. Our team can help you address the risks relevant to your retirement, including long-term care. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
This hour, the Vic Porcelli Show, brought to you by the Trolley Stop Bakery, the official bakery of the Vic Porcelli Show. You're listening to the Vic Porcelli Show.
A 3-hour tour, a 3-hour tour. The weather started getting rough.
We squeeze in a dry hump day under partly sunny skies.
From New Jersey to Baldwin, Missouri, 2 behind the microphone, taking the whoosh to the radical left and the putrid swamp. You're listening to the Vic Porcelli Show. Here he is, Vic Porcelli.
Well, not Vic Porcelli, but his executive producer. I'm Ken Williams, filling in for Vic Porcelli. The 3-hour tour continues, and I guess he's on what you would probably call a shore leave, because he's going to be back Monday, and he's really excited. I think I texted him a couple of times, but he checked out. But I think he's going to be so fired up to come back and get ready, because I think he has a lot to talk about coming up. We have a lot to talk about with Drew Thomas Allen. He has a new book. It's For Christ and Country, the Martyrdom of Charlie Kirk. And then we also, at the end of the show, the end of this hour, we're going to have a surprise guest. But right now, all rise.
From the county of St. Louis.
Crime issues, economic development.
This is Mark Harder.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, Ken. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year's Eve.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Vic said, man, you know what you ought to do is you ought to bring in your saxophone and play Auld Lang Syne. I said, well, 2 reasons I can't do that is because I haven't played in so long. I really haven't. But also, and I could have practiced, but it's not New Year's.
Yeah.
So I would feel kind of weird playing that on New Year's Eve.
So that'd be safe sax?
They'd be safe sacks. Yes, Mr. Hardy almost hit the button there. How are you?
Hey, how you doing? Do you survive Christmas?
Yes, I survived Christmas. We had a good time. The last 3 years, it's really weird. The last 3 years, I was getting sick, like from going to family events and everything.
Right.
And I told everybody to chill with me and please don't get mad at me. But I'm not going to go to all these different events, and I didn't.
Right.
Because I knew that I was going to be hosting coming up, and I didn't want to get the sinus thing and the throat thing and the chest.
Right.
And so far,
well,
it's worked.
I was talking to my son in Kansas City last night, and it turns out him and his wife both have this flu that's going around.
Oh, wow.
And they have a newborn baby. And so they're trying to keep the baby from getting it. So they're wearing masks and things like that around the house. But he says this new strand of flu is a killer. I mean, it knocks you down. And
I've heard about it.
And he quarantined in the basement and trying to stay away from his wife, and she still got it. And they're now trying to keep it away from the baby.
Yeah, they're saying that it's really important to keep the young and the elderly away from that flu if you can.
Right. No, we made it through the holidays, washing our hands and trying to stay away from hugs and kisses and all that.
Did you say washing?
Washing, yeah, on Highway 44.
Highway 44?
Yeah, we wash our hands on Highway 44.
Well, let's get to the St. Louis County Council situation there.
Do we have to?
We do, because that's why I wanted to bring you in. So what I wanted to do for this show, instead of doing all these year-end things, and
right.
I even thought of, I could get a grouping of all the video and all the audio that we played from the year and nail it down to the top 10. That's fun, but it really doesn't give you a great idea about the people that we've had on this show, and we've had you on all year.
Right.
And I thought, well, let's get Mark's idea about what's been happening and then what you can expect in 2026. We're not going to do that right now because you mentioned to me about something about a budget we want to talk about.
Well, sure. I think one of the biggest stories of the year this past year was our budget. And in the last couple of months, we've been dealing with that. And we were able to cut $40 million out of a projected budget deficit for the coming year. So we still have $40 million budget deficit in our current budget coming forward for 26. But we're going to keep whittling away at that and trying to figure out new ways of keeping our costs down in St. Louis County government. And I've said on this show before, the business of county government is very expensive. And it's almost like built-in inflation. And the way we do things based on our rules, based on contracts that have been negotiated in the past, based on how we do business, it all leads to the expense and makes our government that much more expensive. So we're going to try to be chipping away at that to see if we can cut out some of that expense in the future. But we're still going to be dealing with that. We've got to find some new revenue sources, and we've got to cut more in our spending and try to live within our means.
Yeah, over 2025, we've had you in here to talk about those types of things, and we would hear sometimes like, getting a new building or renovating a building and what the expense there is. And
right.
Do we happen to know where this deficit started, what we were doing wrong to make this a potentially $80 million deficit?
Right. Well, a lot of it started just prior to COVID, and then COVID made it worse. We got money from the federal government to try to fill some of the holes during COVID, but it still wasn't enough. We lost a lot of sales tax to St. Charles and to Jefferson County during COVID.
Yeah.
Because
I remember that was, we were actually, my wife and I, we live, our family lives in Afton.
Right.
And we went out to St. Charles and went to Jefferson County for multiple things.
Sure. And I lay that at the foot of Sam Page. I mean, he shut down this county, and when you shut down the county that is highly dependent on sales tax the way we are and way we were at that time, that now you're cutting off the golden, you're killing the goose that's trying to lay the golden eggs for us. So by doing that exasperated this devastation from the standpoint of our money coming in. So we've been trying to build back that, and we're getting close to building back to where we were.
Build back better.
Build Don't get me started.
I know.
But trying to build back our revenue sources to where they were before. But it also, if you remember, during COVID, everybody switched their buying from going to bricks and mortar stores to going, on Amazon. And every time people buy things from, a tube of toothpaste to a new car, none of that sales tax, if there's any even charged, none of that goes to St. Louis County. There's a chunk of it that goes to the state and to other entities, but not to St. Louis County. So if people start changing their buying patterns, we're losing money every day when it comes to that. And we're very highly dependent on sales tax to keep St. Louis County government afloat.
See, I thought that you did receive some of that money. None at all, right?
No. Not until sometime, if we can pass, and people are on both sides of the aisle on that. If we pass a use tax, we can recoup some of that. About 1% would go to St. Louis County. And I think that would be something that would be significant, and we could probably fill this budget gap pretty quick.
You've talked about privatizing on previous shows, healthcare, the healthcare facilities that you have, that you're spending a lot of money on here in St. Louis County. Any movement on that at all? Or
we're going to see. It's too soon. I mean, we cut their budget significantly in the health department.
And that'll help change it, right?
I think so. I think it will force the discussion that we need to decide what is important. And when you limit the resources for bureaucracy, you start to force priorities, and people start to say, well, we always love doing this, but we don't need to do that anymore. We'll do this. And I'm hoping that discussion will come out of this. We have 3 health clinics. We probably could get by with only 1, maybe 2, but we definitely don't need 3. And the model for healthcare delivery has changed in my lifetime, and especially in the last 10 years. I mean, we've got doc in the boxes on almost every corner.
Yeah.
We've got other types of medical delivery methods out there. And so to go to the old school, you got to go to a free clinic to get this shot or that shot. I think we're past that, and we've got to come up with a new model when it comes to that. So if we could do that, that would wring out some cost out of government, and we'd be able to save the taxpayers some money. People in my district, they don't even know where the health clinics are. In other districts, they're very dependent on it. So it's going to be different across the whole county.
Well, like, for example, I mean, when I was working in the food industry, I had to get a Hep A shot, and I went to the facility. I think it's at Lindbergh and Gravois, maybe.
Yeah, down in Sunset Hills.
Yeah. And but I can just go to one of those 24-hour urgent cares and get that shot, right? I mean,
and you probably pay for it.
Well, sure.
But there are people that $20 for a shot is a lot of money. And to get that done at a health department, that's fine. And we could probably do that. And if that's all we did, but we're starting under previous health directors, they've expanded that to doing more and more, from dentistry to well baby clinics to all kinds of things, so they've kind of had some mission creep from the standpoint of what our health department is doing and what it should be doing. And so I think we can rein that back in, and maybe some of those issues can be sent to the private sector.
Okay. Well, I mean, just like we were talking about, cutting expenses and everything, is there anything else looking forward to 2026 that you're looking at?
Sure. Well, we're going to be looking at, we did some changes in our police department. We're working very closely with them. They're kind of stuck in about 1990s from the standpoint of the way they do business. And so we're trying to go back in, and specifically myself and some others are going back in and looking at how we do business as a police department and how we can change that model. We've already made some big strides. Starting about a year ago, I pushed real hard for getting uniformed officers out from behind desk and out on the street. And that's been a tradition or a procedure in our police department, that when you're fairly close to retirement, you get a desk job, and you're in uniform, you have a gun and you have a badge, but you're managing the records center, or you're managing personnel or things like that. And we can get civilians to do those jobs. We need to get folks that have guns and have badges and have uniforms. They need to be on the street fighting crime in our neighborhoods and not sitting behind a desk. So the push has been on for at least a year to move those positions to more civilians. And at the same time, we're saving money because we will be paying a civilian a little bit less, in some cases quite a bit less than a uniformed veteran police officer sitting behind that desk. So I think we can save about $1 million there over time to move those positions from uniforms to civilians.
So the county executive of St. Louis County, Sam Page, he vetoed a bill?
Yes. So we talked about this a couple weeks ago. There's this bad bill that came before us. It was called Bill 182, and it was about revisiting and redoing our purchasing code. And Shalonda Webb, one of my council people on the council, has been pushing this and changing it, and she had a lot of outside influence in this bill, and it was not a good bill for St. Louis County. It passed 4-3 on the council down partisan lines a couple weeks ago, and we got notice yesterday at 5:00 that Sam Page has vetoed that bill, which is good for our side of the table. Now he's going to propose a new bill in the coming weeks, and we'll see what that looks like, if it's any better. But he's going to veto this bill, which was our first issue, and I think we will have the votes to keep his veto in place, and then that will force another bill to come forward. So that's a good thing because, in my opinion, the bill that he vetoed, if it would have passed, would be a strong detriment to economic development in our community. It would have driven costs up and made everything more expensive to do big projects like a mall redevelopment or other big projects here in St. Louis.
So Mark Harder, he's a St. Louis County councilman of St. Louis County, obviously St. Louis County, but he's also the host of the St. Louis County Insider. That's here right. On NewstalkSTL every Sunday at 5 p.m. Mark, you got guests coming up?
We've got some great guests coming up for this weekend. We've got Tim Lowe. He's with the Steenberg Group, who is doing the redevelopment of Chesterfield Mall. He'll be on this week. We'll talk. He's been on before. We're going to talk about the progress they're making. If you've gone by that property, you can see how they've been moving dirt for a long time, and we're going to get an update on that. We've got also a alderman from the city of Maryland Heights, and he will be on the show today as well, and Chuck Calverley. And we've never had anybody on from Maryland Heights, so we want to talk about what's going on there. And then we'll have my old friend and fellow council member, Mike Archer, will be on as well and talk about some of the things he's going to be looking at in the coming year.
He represents my district.
He represents South County, and he'll be on today to talk about things that he's wanting to change in St. Louis County as well.
All right, Mark, 2025 is almost gone. Any projections for 2026, things that we can look forward to?
Well, this is going to be a big year. We're going to be managing this budget, of course. We're going to be looking at moving our offices, the main office in Clayton. Most likely will be going to the Crossings development up in St. Anne's, and we are negotiating on that right now. So that's going to be a big thing in the news in the next year. We're going to be, again, keep looking at all the different parts of our government to see how we can wring the cost out of how we're going to do business in the future. We're going to be electing a new chair. Our first meeting is next Tuesday on the 6th. And at that meeting every year, we elect a new chair and vice chair. And so we'll see where that goes coming up, and things stay tuned for that. And that will dictate a lot of the agenda going forward.
So it sounds like a wild time in St. Louis County Council.
We will.
Get out there and join Mark on Tuesday nights at 7, right?
That's right. Come to our meeting, 6:30 in Clayton, and join the fun.
Yeah, join the fun.
Or you can find us on the county website and listen there as well.
And what is that?
That is on Boxcast on St. Louis County Council website, and you can watch the meetings live every week.
Well, Mark, to you and your family.
You too.
Here's to a brand new, wonderful 2026. I'm optimistic about 2026.
And we'll see if Vic's all rested and tanned when he comes back. And
yeah,
if he
and doing all that building and stuff at his house. I mean, he's been working hard, I bet.
Oh.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay, Vic, if you're listening, we'll see you next week.
You got it. All right, man. Thanks, Mark.
See ya.
Coming up, we got Drew Thomas Allen. He's talking about his new book. If you haven't gotten this book yet, you must check it out. It's For Christ and Country, The Martyrdom of Charlie Kirk. And then the last guest of the show, a little surprise for you. Coming up right here on 1019 941 News Talk STL, number one for live and local conservative talk.
Follow us on Rumble at NewstalkSTL. You're listening to the Vic Porcelli Show.
I want to be clear.
On NewstalkSTL. This is 1019 and 94.1.
Female millennial Trump supporter. I listen to it like every day. Like, seriously, you get it.
NewstalkSTL.
Hi, it's Chris Arps, and I've been a customer of Royal Banks, Missouri for many years. They're a full-service, locally owned and operated community bank with 17 locations throughout the St. Louis area, including locations in Hannibal, Jerseyville, Granite City, as well as 2 locations in St. Charles. Plus, given today's headlines in the overall banking industry, it is reassuring to know Royal Banks, Missouri has the highest financial ratings in St. Louis for stability and strength. Royal Banks, Missouri is reinvesting in its hometown University City. They've now opened the doors to their new location at 8550 Olive Boulevard at the corner of Olive and McKnight. Stop by to see their refreshed look with the same exceptional Royal Bank service you know and trust. Learn more about the move in University City by visiting royalbanksofmo.com today. That's Royal Banks of Missouri, the community bank for your community. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Louis Goldman, he's a former congressman.
Bob Gibson
was
pitching for the St. Louis Cardinals in the World Series. And so I snuck my transistor radio in my shirt and had the little earpiece into my ear and tried to keep my head turned where the teacher wouldn't see, but was listening to the World Series in class.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
News, analysis, opinion.
The United States military attacking shipwrecked sailors.
We're taking the fight to the enemy, and we can already tell it's working.
Another stabbing by an illegal migrant.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. The Vic Porcelli Show.
Biden's being Biden's being an extremist.
Oh, son of a gun. You thought I was going to say son of a bitch, didn't you?
On News Talk STL.
I love that. Ken Williams in for Vic Porcelli. Vic will be back Monday, too, by the way. And it's going to be exciting. I think he's pretty revved up. He's been off for quite a while, and I think he's going to have a lot to talk about. But let's get back to it. Let's get to our next guest. Very important information coming from this man, Drew Thomas Allen.
Drew Allen of the Drew Allen Show podcast.
It's people who love this country and respect freedom and want to preserve it for the future. You know, it really shouldn't be political.
Amico mio, come stai?
Ciao, buongiorno, Ciccio. Sono molto contento.
See, I don't speak Italian, so I'm not even offended by that at all. How you doing, Drew?
Hey, man, I'm good. It's hard to believe that we're up against the
very final day of this year. I mean, it's flown by, and it's been full of so many ups and downs. I mean, I've never experienced a year politically quite like it.
I want to talk about that for a second, because it's really interesting how the left makes it sound like it was so horrible this year. I can't believe we're finally getting through this year. I thought it was a pretty good year. I really kind of liked, a lot of the stuff that happened.
Yeah, I mean, as far as Trump and him getting in there and really going full steam ahead with the agenda he promised, I mean, he did. Now, people get really disillusioned when they're just unrealistic. They think that, in less than a year, Donald Trump is going to fix all the problems that have accrued, not only from the previous 4 years, but from the previous 4 decades. And, I'm happy with it. We've got some improvement, but I mean, I think that's kind of what, when we get up to the new year, some people make resolutions and things like that. I mean, I've got things I want to work on, and they're not unrealistic or far-fetched or, superficial. There's just things that I want to continue to improve upon and accomplish. And I think that Trump probably feels the same way. And, unfortunately with politics, by design, it's a slow effort, to prevent, terrible things from happening too, but it also prevents good things from happening quickly with velocity. But, the Republican Party's got to get some cojones. And, I think that Americans need to really work on their own self-improvement, because, I come back to Charlie Kirk, and we lost someone who was a pretty good moral compass for America, and he's gone. And you've got a lot of people that are coming in now with noise, and they're trying to split this party and this movement. And they, are really good actors. They're really good frauds, and they're trying to lead people down a different path.
And actually, Drew, that's the one really, really bad thing that happened that I was going to bring up, and it has to do with your book, For Christ and Country, The Martyrdom of Charlie Kirk. I was in Utah when that happened. I was on vacation, and I'll be honest with you, Drew, that's been with me ever since. I think about Charlie Kirk a lot. I think a lot of Americans do.
Yeah, I haven't gotten over it, man. It still chokes me up, and it's just like such a decent human being just gone like that, with such a big influence, and it hurts, man. It really does. It's been a tough one for me, and I don't want to make this about me for long, but it's like, it's so frustrating to me that I've got Amazon still, man. They're just trying to prevent people from reading the book. I mean, they keep taking it down. They won't ship. It's so frustrating that for me, this is one of those rare books, right? Because I shelved,
well, hold on before you talk about that. Hold on, because I remember the moment you were on this show saying you were working on another book, and you said you got so consumed by everything that was going on and the thoughts that you had to put on paper. You started writing this thing, and basically it wrote itself, didn't it?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, with stuff that we needed to address that I've been thinking about to put in other books, and it just didn't quite fit, about the violence from the left and how we got to this point where this was even possible, and addressing the spiritual and, moral rot in this country because of the left, and helping people understand, what the left represents, why they're doing this, how we combat this, and looking at Charlie as somebody who had it figured out, and now he's gone. Where do we go from here? And then I can't get, people can't even read the book. I mean, they can buy it on like Target and Walmart and stuff, but I mean, people like to buy from Amazon. Amazon's just like, it's just unreal, man, that they would do this. But whatever. I'm working on some stuff. I'm trying to get friends I have to help bring awareness to it. But it's, I'm not going to beat, what am I going to do? Beat Amazon, $1 billion company? They can censor whatever they want. It's a private company.
But can your publisher do anything about this?
No, Amazon could basically go to my publisher and threaten to destroy all their books.
Yeah.
That's the kind of company Amazon is, a bunch of BASTARD S's.
Bastards.
Yeah, that one.
Hey, Drew.
So anyway, so that's frustrating. It's okay. This isn't like a sob story. I'm not going to come out here. There's so many great things going on. I'm so excited for your audience, for the year they have ahead. I hope people really take a moment to take stock of, where we are and how far we've come. I mean, things looked really bleak, a little over a year ago, and then we won an election. So what we know now, Ken, about 2020 and how they obviously stole it, which we've been saying that for a long time, but it's so clear. There's more and more evidence that they did. And it's undeniable at this point. So all of us who they made fun of and wanted to put in prison for even saying it, take away law licenses and so on and so forth. Of course, we were right.
Drew,
And
we've got to see incarcerations. We've got to see people held accountable. In 2026, you had Caroline Levitt just talk about there needs to be people in handcuffs regarding the Minneapolis welfare fraud that's alleged by the Somali community. There need to be people in handcuffs. I think that's about the most basic way you can put it, Drew.
Yeah, and you've got to put these people in handcuffs. And obviously, it's just. I mean, these people committed crimes. That's the difference between what we're talking about and the left. The left just wants to create a crime and put people they don't like in jail. No, we want to put actual criminals who violated the law in prison. And it has to happen because here's the thing, too. If we don't put these actual criminals in jail where they belong based on crimes actually committed, if they get back in power, man, it's over. I mean, you will see the Soviet Union here. I mean, we got a glimpse and we thought it was bad with Trump. They're going to be going. I mean, Eric Swalwell's out there promising he's going to put ICE people doing their jobs in prison.
Yeah, I mean, they're already threatening that once it happens, they're going to start indictments in 2026. If they get control, they're going to start impeachment proceedings against President Trump, Vance, and I think there were a couple of others. But the main thing is the third person in line once they're impeached is Hakeem Jeffries, I'm sure. You talked about, Drew, the rot that the left is delivering to the American people over the last how many years? Check this out. Massachusetts Parole Board, they released 39 convicted murderers following a court ruling. It says the Massachusetts Parole Board, they approved the release of 39 individuals convicted of actual murder, Drew, who had originally received life sentences without the possibility of parole. This decision comes in the wake of a landmark ruling by the Massachusetts Supreme Court that reshaped sentencing rules for certain young offenders. They're calling them young offenders, Drew. All I know is that in D.C., you had 12 and 14-year-olds riding bikes in gangs and beating people up and killing people.
Yeah, it's kind of mind-boggling to think that, a political entity would go out of their way to give preferential treatment to criminals, that they would want violence, that they would want to hurt people. I mean, this is why, it's like, it is very spiritual, it's very satanic in many ways. I mean, all of their policies are designed to hurt law-abiding American citizens, which represent people on the right, represent MAGA, right? I mean, all we want is a constitutional society that follows the law and protects us and provides us the most abundant economic opportunity possible. Not equal outcomes, but equal opportunities for the most part. And the left, all they stand for is coming in between that. They do not want people individually to succeed. And they would sit here and release criminals onto the street. I mean, and I'm really tired of it too, because it does result obviously in murders as well. We see this time and time again with these soft on crime, policies and Soros prosecutors put in place around the country. Time and time again, there's murders, and these people have been arrested and put back on the street.
When I read this article,
how do people vote for this?
I did. Drew, when I read this, it made me so angry because how many of those 39, and this is just in Massachusetts, a parole board there, 39 convicted murderers sent to life in prison and just releasing. How many of them are going to be repeat offenders, and who's going to be responsible for that?
Well, almost all of them will be repeat offenders. We know this statistically. You can have your head in the sand or the clouds, wherever you want to put it, up your butt, and sit here and tell yourself that, people who are violent criminals, you just say a prayer for them and put them on the street, and they're going to be good people. That never happens.
Never.
They do not leave their life of crime behind. It's not so easy. It would take a massive investment of people and time to try and help them change the course of their life. I mean, so we know what this is going to produce, and they're doing it. But this is the whole point of the whole left anyway. Every policy that they embrace is proven a disaster, proven a failure.
And when they get back in control, if they ever do, thank God they may not, but they may. And if they do, they're going to take control, and it's going to be like on steroids. This kind of activity is going to be like it's on steroids from now on.
Yeah. it will be. It will be. I mean, honestly, the problem is, under the left's policies, especially in these, states, blue cities where, we don't have a lot of control and controlling the education system, right? They're producing criminals faster than, we can put them away. And, the issue is we need more prisons, actually. We need to have a great expansion of prisons, and we need all of these people to go in jail. And at the same time, you need massive reform to the welfare state that obviously incentivizes poverty, incentivizes drug abuse, incentivizes, especially in the Black community, fatherless homes that we know are likely to produce, criminals, frankly. And this is the type of thing we have to do. But, the politicians aren't willing to do it. Look what's being done. They say we can't, cut a penny from welfare. It's going to all these good causes. People aren't going to survive without it. And then you look at what Somalians are doing in Minneapolis. It's just a criminal syndicate. That's what welfare is.
And it's just it's not just in Minneapolis. What I wanted to mention is that it's happening in Columbus, Ohio, where they have 60,000 plus Somalians there, and it's allegedly happening there, and in Washington State as well, Drew.
Exactly. It's the tip of the iceberg. So Minneapolis just happens to be the most publicized and maybe the biggest that we know of so far fraud that's taken place. But you're right. If it's happening there, you've just given other examples. It's happening elsewhere, and it's happening in Dallas, Texas. It's happening in Houston, Texas. It's happening in every blue city around this country. And the reason you have this widespread fraud, too, of course, is because they use this welfare fraud to fund themselves and prop up their political campaigns.
So it's Drew Thomas Allen. He is the host of the Drew Allen Show podcast and also VP of Client Development at Publius PR. And, of course, the author of the book For Christ and Country, The Martyrdom of Charlie Kirk. And they can find it on Amazon if they can get it. But where else can they get it, Drew?
Bookshop.org, Target, Walmart, all those three places. Barnes & Noble refuses to carry it, I believe, as well. So Barnes & Noble and Amazon, or you can try Amazon, just to go through an experiment. They might let like 2 people buy a book a day and then they shut it down because they don't want the rankings. They're trying to kill it. So it's okay.
Yeah. Well, good luck to you, Drew. And you know what? You've been with us from almost the very beginning. We're celebrating 5 years in 2026, 250th anniversary of our great nation, Drew. And I just want to say on behalf of NewstalkSTL and the Vic Porcelli Show and Vic, Happy New Year to you and your family, man. You've got such a lovely family.
Hey, same to you and your audience. Happy New Year. Talk soon.
All right. Talk soon, Drew. Thanks a lot, man. That's Drew Thomas Allen. Get his book, man. I'll tell you what. I read portions of, not all of it yet, but it is amazing. Coming up next, we have a surprise guest for you. And, well, I'll just leave it there. This is the Vic Porcelli Show on News Talk STL. We are number one for live and local conservative talk.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. The Vic Porcelli Show.
Think about what you'd think about at the time.
Say it with me. Say Broadway.
So that the dancer just won't hide.
On News Talk STL. Colombo and Company.
Join us every day for conversations with a wide variety of guests as we keep you informed and up to speed on all the important news and headlines you need to know.
Live and local, weekdays at 2
on News Talk STL.
Are you ready to take a totally tubular trip down memory lane? Join us for the ultimate 80s and 90s trivia night, raising funds for the Nick Schroer for State Senate campaign. Dust off your neon, grab your friends, and test your knowledge on all the classics, from mixtapes to sitcoms, boy bands to blockbuster hits, and maybe even some political questions. It's all happening Saturday night, January 31st at the Elks Lodge in O'Fallon, Mo. Reserve your table now by emailing nick@nickschroer.com.
Hey, listen to this. All I needed was a new starter. Got a great deal on eBay. Did it myself.
Yeah, that's cool. But how about the soft purr of an upgraded exhaust when it fits just right?
For me, it's the little things, like these new windshield wipers from eBay I installed.
From small fixes to big upgrades, eBay has all the parts you need at prices you'll love, guaranteed to fit every time. eBay, things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
This is the time of the year most of us are checking off our holiday gift list. Identity thieves have lists too, and your personal information might be on that list. Protect your identity with LifeLock. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every single second and alerts you to the threats you could miss yourself. If your identity is stolen, your own U.S.-based restoration specialist is going to work to fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Make this season about joy, not identity theft, with LifeLock. Save up to 40% off your first year at LifeLock.com with the promo code BECK. Terms apply.
Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. You're listening to the Vic Porcelli Show.
I have no idea.
On Newstalk STL.
Guess who just got back today? Them wild-eyed boys that had been away.
Ken Williams filling in for Vic Porcelli on this final segment, actually, of the show. I had a lot of fun. Thanks for hanging with me. Letting me hang with you. I appreciate it so much, and we appreciate it for the whole year. It's just been a blast. Now I got a new guest, and well, I better use some different music for the intro. Oh, nice. Everybody sing it with me. Vic Porcelli.
Hold on. Wait.
Go ahead.
Hold on 1 sec. I'm just ordering my quality Leering Center hoodie.
No kidding, man.
Hold on. Before we get to that, you pissed me off, Ken. Okay?
Why?
Really
Why?
What are the rules when I'm not there? Don't have anybody on better than me.
Yeah.
And you and Nate were great. Everybody's texting me, oh, Ken and Nate were great. And you and Karen were great. This is bullshit. Stop.
Don't you cuss on this here radio.
I know, man. But you know what? We had to keep it going for you when you come back. You're coming back Monday.
I understand.
Have you been like just going crazy trying to get the words out that you need to express?
What do you mean?
Just like sitting there, I can see you watching TV going, oh, man, I want to talk about that. You've been off, man. You've been off.
So many stories. I wish I was on the air with you. This stupid Somali, Minnesota thing. I mean, Nick Shirley has done more real journalism than every media outlet, and I include Fox News and Newsmax in that. This one kid, 20 years old or however old he is, from Utah, with an iPhone. And he busted the biggest story of the year.
And they ignored it until finally they couldn't ignore it anymore, Vic. It has surpassed 200 million views now.
Oh, my God. He did a great job, And, of course, the Today Show, it was like, well, alleged, and unfounded claims. And I'm like, oh, my God, you guys blew it. And you're blaming this kid for being a good journalist. You all suck.
Here you go, Vic. CBS News, they investigated the Somali daycare centers after Nick Shirley's video went viral. Here's what they found. Here, I'm going to read this, okay? This is what they found.
Go ahead, yeah.
A recent video by conservative YouTuber Nick Shirley conservative YouTuber, by the way, alleged nearly a dozen daycare centers in Minnesota that are receiving public funds are not actually providing any service. After the video went viral, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem announced a massive investigation on childcare and other rampant fraud in the state. CBS News conducted its own analysis of nearly a dozen daycare centers mentioned by Shirley. All but two have active licenses, according to state records. All have active locations, were visited by state regulators within the last 6 months. CBS News review also found dozens of citations related to safety, cleanliness, equipment, and staff training, among other violations, but there were no recorded evidence of fraud.
Wow. I mean, NBC News, Gabe Gutierrez called Nick Shirley a right-wing journalist.
Oh, man. You know what?
It's like they're so phony and they're so bad. And I got to not curse here because I really feel like cursing. But I'm not going to do that to you, Cam. I'm not going to make you fun.
Thanks. I appreciate it. No, but the thing is, this is their announcement, right? What they're saying to you is they're saying, we checked with the government, and the government says that there's no problem here whatsoever. So therefore, there's no problem, people. You need to listen to your government. Meanwhile, Vic, in Minnesota, the state workers there are becoming whistleblowers against the government by saying there is so much fraud, they're being intimidated by Tim Walz and other people.
Jeez. You know, what did Ronald Reagan tell us? Government is not the solution to the problem. Government is the problem.
Yep.
So I don't want to hear that they went to the government. I don't want to hear it.
No, it's crazy. And that was just one example, but they're trying, what they're trying to do is actually vilify this 22-year-old guy, Vic. He went to high school in Farmington, Utah. He's never been a journalist. He's only had the passion. He never went to college. That I tried to find if he went to college somewhere, and they say no, he really didn't. He just had the idea to go look at this stuff. He saw the information coming out. He saw what they were doing, and nobody was listening to him. So what did he do? He found a guy who was his counterpart, David, who actually lived in the area. And this is the big thing. This is what I was talking about earlier. He lived in the area, and they basically went around and it wasn't like on a Sunday. That's another thing, Vic. I don't know if you heard this, but they were saying, oh, well, they did it on a Sunday when they weren't open. That's not true.
Not true. You said it's the middle of the day, on a Tuesday. And so I just want to make sure I got CBS reports straight. So the doors that Nick Shirley knocked on and somebody came to the door and said, no, there's no kids here. Those just happen to be the only two.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I think that's, you know what, you brought up a great point, because that's the deceiving part of it. He's somewhere along here. They were talking about, well, we checked on near a dozen of these that he was checking on. Okay. A dozen. You know how many there were? They didn't check on the transportation facilities that they had. David mentioned over 1,000 of them, that 800 of which were owned by some Somalis. And again, these are alleged welfare fraud cases, but over 800, something like 800 of those businesses, not just the vehicles, Vic, but the actual businesses were owned by Somalis. And this guy, David, who works there every day, he said, every day I would see these trucks going by en masse. They'd go by with drivers, but they never, he said, I never saw one adult or one child being transported in these vehicles.
NBC2 said that, the White House claims that it's $9 billion in fraud, and it's not nearly that much. I'm sorry. If this is the same analogy as, well, we don't see any widespread voter abuse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why does it have to get to widespread? Why does it have to be $9 billion? How much is okay?
That is so true. You brought that up when we were talking about the apartments in Colorado in that reporter.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's my handful of apartment complex. Oh, okay. Listen to yourself, Martha.
Listen to yourself, Margaret.
I'm not coming back. I can't do this.
You have to, Vic. We miss you, man. You got a lot of people missing you here. You got a lot of people missing you online too, and they're giving you trouble. They're actually, you know how the Vic heads do it, Vic.
Yeah.
They'll say, that Vic, we don't need him. Come on. And then they're busting your chops, Vic.
I don't know.
Yeah, no.
I was reading some of the comments. I was listening. You guys suck for being good. That's great.
There's nobody like you, my friend.
I'm obsolete already.
No, sorry, pal. No, you can't get out of it that easy. You're here.
So I got a haircut yesterday.
Did you? Good.
Yep.
I did too. I shaved my head.
Jeez. So I went to my girl Kathy Cardwell up in Lake St. Louis, and my hair was so out of control. I just walked in with a baseball hat on. I didn't want to try to, I almost cursed right there. Did you catch that?
I had my finger on the button.
I had a baseball hat on, and I said, look, see, the hair's sticking out from all over the place. She was like, oh, my God, come in here. I'll save you. And then we were talking about New Year's, and I said, what are you doing for New Year's? Anything? She says, no, you just stay home. She goes, how about you? Oh, we have a wild party at the Porcelli's every year. You know what she says? No, you don't.
Right. No.
You're right.
I joked about that about you earlier. So what have you been doing while you're off? Have you been building stuff?
Yes, I built a whole side structure to our house. So now that's 3 floors, and I haven't done a damn thing. Just laid around and watch TV and play Balatro. I beat Balatro 3 times this week. I'm so happy.
Nice.
Chris and Allison came for Christmas. That was fun. And the bad part about it, Jessie had off Monday through Thursday of last week, but she's not off anymore, so she's got to work all this week. So,
but you got a chance to decompress a little bit, though, right?
I got to what?
You got a chance to decompress a little bit, though.
Yeah, I did. And you know what? I haven't been on social media much. and I'll get back to everybody who sent me notes and stuff, but I just can't do everything when I'm off. I just have to be off and be a lazy piece of stuff.
But that's the idea of being on vacation, man. I'll tell you what, I'm glad you got to get off, because it's just going to make it better for everybody else when you do come back, because we miss you, buddy.
Well, I appreciate it. And January 5th we're back, right? Is that right?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to give Karen Catalina a piece of my mind. She was too good.
She had so much fun, man. She really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Did you guys talk to that Guns N' Moses guy?
Yeah. Salvador.
I'll bet that was like going to synagogue for them, right?
It was great. They just had fun. It was like they picked up the phone after they had the conversation. They said, "Oh, let's continue it." It was
That's
pretty
so
good.
fun.
Yeah.
We got to have him back. He's great.
Yeah, Salvador Litvak.
Yeah.
We called him Sal. I thought it was funny.
Sal makes him sound Italian.
It really does.
Because his name is not Salvatore, like my friend Sal. His name is Salvador with a D, right?
Right, yeah.
That doesn't sound Italian. Oh, as soon as you make him say, "Hey, oh, Sal, how you doing?"
What's up, Sally? Sally Bones?
What's going on?
So what do you think, Vic, about 2026? You got any thoughts on that at all?
Yeah, Ken, the midterms with all the representatives that are quitting and senators that are quitting. I mean, it's a whole new fight, man. It's a whole new campaign. And President Trump is going to go out and campaign like it's his own 2024 campaign,
Yeah.
Like many rallies a day. And, because he's got to fight, we have to keep the House of Representatives and the Senate. We have to, or this country is going downhill. And everything you said is coming true right now with the Islam and everything else, and we got to fight for it. And I don't know if you saw, Todd Showalter's cartoon today.
No.
It's got the early learning center. Like, it wasn't even close to being spelled right. Everything was spelled wrong on the sign. And Tim Waltz is jumping up and down because he's mad. And he says, "You're just an Islamophobe if you say that this is not good." And then there's a couple there, and the girl says to the guy, "Well, he really is retarded."
What about?
Made me laugh out loud. I swear to God, I laughed out loud when I saw it.
Well, what about Tim Walz? He can't even be succinct enough to explain what's going on. He starts rambling, and then he says white supremacy. I mean, he accuses Vance of that.
Yeah, he knows he's caught, Ken. He knows he's caught. He knows that he's in trouble, and he knows that we're going to say, "And this was Kamala Harris's pick for VP," And I was stunned, absolutely stunned, when I think it was Fox News went back and played a clip from the debate between him and J.D. Vance, and he basically said, called out the fraud back then.
Yeah.
Like, he was like, "Yeah, we have to have these people working here, and you have to have these people, these Somali companies open." And I'm like, "Are you not watching your own state? $9 billion later? And who pays for that, by the way? Is there any restitution for us in that one?"
Well, see, everybody thinks that it's only Minnesotans that are paying for it, but it's not, Vic. They get that money from the federal government. And that's why I think it's really good that they've actually, the HHS, they've stopped all payments. They've stopped all payments for any type of welfare right now, just to figure out where the hell it's going.
It's a little late,
What is?
And FBI and HHS and everybody else should be ashamed of themselves that one 22-year-old kid broke the story on an iPhone with all the resources that the U.S. government has, and this kid made them look stupid. And he also made a case for Doge, and we need to cut back, because if you're not doing anything anyway, why are we paying your salaries?
Well, what about the billion-dollar companies called CBS, NBC, ABC? They sat on their hands. They've never even, in fact, when they heard about this, they probably said, "Oh, that stupid independent journalist. We'll bury him real quick." Didn't work, did it?
Nope, not at all. And the Ed Stoit is just running rampant, Ken, all over the place. I mean, on podcasts, on I don't know what that ugly lady's name is, but she's got the podcast where the whole plot of every podcast is how terrible Republicans are and Donald Trump is the devil. And actually, our friend Phil Valencia put up a meme of everything that she said in a show, and I just answered back to Phil, Ed Stoit. I mean, Ed Stoit works. Run it through the Ed Stoit filter. You'll find out what's really going on.
Yep, exactly right. Hey, you know what I did here real quick? I just started typing some things about 2026 and my thoughts and everything. And I thought, well, you know, we've used Grok and we've used ChatGPT for a variety of things. Let me see if I can whittle this down with these two. So I put it in ChatGPT and he got it to somewhat of what I wanted, but it was too long. And then I said, hey, Grok, have your hand at this. So I really got a message for 2026. It's filtered through ChatGPT and then refined by Grok. You want to hear a little bit of it, Vic?
Yeah.
Okay. As we bid farewell to 2025, a year of challenges and tests, we celebrate America's enduring strength, not in perfection, but in persistence. May the new year inspire us to listen more, assume less, rebuild trust, but verify facts. That's what I put in there. And unite around shared values, love of country, hope for our children, and dignity for all, Vic.
That's great. That's great. You know, another 2026 problem we have is Dan Bongino. You know, he can't have his hour back. I know he wants his hour back, and I know, you know, he wants to take over. We can't have it.
So, what do you want for 2026, Vic? Or
what do I want?
Yeah. What are your thoughts, real quick?
Oh my God, I want Sally to stay out of the mud. I want to win the midterms.
Okay.
I want to not quite eat so much. Ken, I have eaten so much crap in these 2 weeks. Jessica made pizzelles and Mario said the Cinnabons, and I'm just a fat pig.
Well, Vic, I love you. I miss you, man, and it'll be good to get back in the saddle with you.
Thank you, baby. Thank you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, brother. To you and your family. And that does it for me. See you, Vic. I'll see you Monday. I'm Ken Williams. You take care. Thank you, Vic Heads. Everybody, Happy New Year to you, and thanks for being here, and let's make it a big, gigantic 2026, and we'll see you then. Happy New Year.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.
Hi, this is Chris Stigall with the Herzog Foundation. We offer a wide variety of resources relevant to today's families, including a free online publication called The Lion. The lion is one of God's most majestic creatures, symbolizing strength and courage. Named for its attributes, the Lion publication carries articles covering a wide range of topics facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. The Lion can be found online at readlion.com. That's READ